All right, everybody, welcome to DCU Daily on Tuesday. Here we are to discuss all things DC, in addition to all the other things as well. The stuff, that people don't really care about, but that's okay. We start off our wonderful show today with, in fact, MCU Weekly. We're going to be talking about all things Spider-Man, mainly because, of course, Spider-Man being the most popular hero of all time and Brand New Day just around the corner. It's going to be a hell of a time. Then, then we have like a couple quick hits and that kind of thing. But then we have a tiny bit of TV talk terror and a little bit of movie talk madness. We have some Toy Story 5. We have some Paddington. We have some Narnia and then a couple trailers. And then I'm going to give my spoiler-free review of Disclosure Day. I'm going to try my best to skirt around all of the spoilers. I don't think there is much that I can really spoil anyway, but I'll try my best, I swear. And then we are going to get into our quick hits. And then finally, DCU Daily, where it's mainly a lot of Supergirl marketing stuff, showcasing all the collabs and brand deals and all that stuff, and then a couple other things, Gunn and Gillespie and quick hits, all that stuff being stated. But then after that, we have our Tier List Tuesday. You guys picked YouTuber-made horror movies, so we have 7 films for you to talk about. And with all of that, let's get this wonderful party started and show us what being Knuff really is.
It doesn't seem to matter what I do. I'm always the number 2.
All right, mister, I need to paint my abs on to get nominated. You don't see Robert Downey doing that.
You're kidding.
You're
kidding. I can't open the envelope without the...
Warner Brothers is heading back into the Matrix with a new movie in the works.
Wonder what other surprises are in store.
I want to be Bruce Wayne.
I like that. And you're gonna love me.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see chorus.
Right there.
You look ridiculous.
Well, not no more, he don't.
What, dude? I can barely understand you. Your accent's insane.
What the
Give me a hand up. Nope, I'm actually okay. Thank you very much. Oh, wow. Wow.
Here we are. Here we go. And welcome to the people in the chat. Dross, D-Ross, however you pronounce your name. Welcome. We are here to talk all things news. I am your host for today. Of course, I can't barely see the sidebar because StreamYard just loves to ruin their own site. So with that, host John. Lovely to see you. Dan will be in later. But today, as I mentioned, we are going to be starting with Spider-Man Brand New Day because Spider-Man is awesome. Well, apparently Liza Colon-Zayas, who more famously is in The Bear, is going to go from mammals to insects, bears to arachnids, and she is going to talk a little bit about she has talked a little bit about what her role in this film is going to be. So she dropped a big hint about who she's playing in the upcoming movie, which she describes as being a darker, deeper take on the walk crawler. Among the mysteries is who the Bear star Liza Colon-Zayas is playing. Fortunately, we're one step closer to knowing what her character brings to the table, as the actress dropped a pretty big hint in a new interview. Sorry. I could just say I play a detective and saying it's a darker, deeper Spider-Man. Well, Jean DeWolf is certainly a compelling possibility. Insider Cryptic 4K Qual has posited that she might be Agent Dolores Ramirez, a relatively obscure character who debuted during the X-Men's Krakoan age. She's a CIA agent who operated in the X-Desk, a special task force unit created to keep mutants under control. However, she proved an ally to mutants and could play a similar role in Spider-Man Brand New Day and beyond, especially if the Department of Damage Control is keeping Jean Grey in captivity. Still, Colin Zayas specifically mentions being a detective, and given that DeWolf has been race swapped in various other adaptations and alternate comic universes, we wouldn't be shocked if that's the case here too. So yeah, I mean, cool. Kind of don't really care. I mean, no offense to her, like I'm sure she's going to do a good job, but it's just like, okay, she's playing a detective. She's playing someone that's probably going to be either after Spider-Man or after Jean Grey or whoever Sadie Sink is playing, most likely Jean Grey. So, well, Dan will show up later, so don't you worry about that. Anyway, but yeah, so that we got a little bit more input in regards to her character. Cool. Yes, Dan is coming later. But next up, Spider-Man Brand New Day star Tom Holland teases detective movie, reveals how online research changed suit. So with Brand New Day reshoots taking place earlier this year, Tom Holland has now shared fresh insights into what the additional photography has added to the movie. Reshoots are the norm for any Marvel Studios title, of course, and it sounds like these were done to ensure the movie is as good as it could possibly be. In fact, if Holland is to be believed, it might be Spidey's best solo outing yet. The movie is already the best Spider-Man movie that we've ever made. Low bar, but sure. The actor enthused in an interview with Esquire, confirming he was in London to put the finishing touches to it, explaining that this time is all about adding extra layers. Sorry. Including more jokes and strengthening an intricate villain story arc. Holland said the main goal is trying to find ways to make this movie feel like a detective movie. This movie is a real mystery, and for a large portion of the film, even Spider-Man is a little bit at odds and lost and is like, what is going on? It's a bit of a risk, but I think it really pays off. At the end of the last one, I'd finished my contract that I signed as an 18-year-old. I have been very open that I was on the fence about making this fourth installment. However, he does admit that it was really stupid to say that if he will still be playing a Spidey after 30, he'd done something wrong. It admits, I don't even really know what that means. So yeah, it's essentially Tom Holland being like, hey, we're gonna make sure that this is actually good, unlike all the other garbage, Spider-Man movies we've gotten in this era. So yeah, no, I mean, No Way Home was pretty good. So so sorry. It's very warm in here, so I'm gonna be yawning a lot. Yeah, I like Spider-Man, but I can admit when it's garbage. Like, just because I like a character doesn't mean I have to like every adaptation. Like, it's like, oh, you're a Batman fan, that means you have to like Batman and Robin. It's like, come on, what is that? But yeah, so this is another poster that we've gotten. Looks pretty damn good to me. But yeah, I hope it's good. That's all. I'm excited. I hope it's good. It'll be a good time. At the very least, whether it's as good as other Spider-Man movies, unlikely. But yeah, but Tom Holland apparently researched what fans loved about the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man suits. He then applied that to his new suit in Spider-Man Brand New Day. Yeah, actually being homemade instead of, being the bitch to fucking senpai Tony Stark. Yeah. Well, what I mean by that is I am hyped for the movie, but just because like it'll be the best Spider-Man yet. I mean, Homecoming is garbage. Far From Home is arguably worse. No Way Home is decent. It's a pretty good time. But it's just, yeah, it's in terms of the MCU Spider-Man outings, the best is still Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man Season 1. Till he's 90. But yeah, this suit actually looks halfway decent, just like the other ones. The best is still arguably Andrew Garfield's suit, but I like how bright this one is. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind the navy blue, but I feel like those worked for the time, while this one is nice. It's got the royal blue, it's got the red. I like that a hell of a lot more. So yeah. So Brand New Day star Tom Holland breaks silence on injury reports and confirms marriage to Zendaya. Now Holland himself has commented on the reports in an interview with Esquire. Please don't take offense at this, but when you read those articles about something that happened to you, it's such a good way to understand that you really can't trust what you read in the press. But not only were the claims that a woman was also injured and hospitalized incorrect, but Holland himself was never rushed away from set. He did suffer what the site describes as a mishap, but tried to stay at work before being gingerly driven to a nearby hospital. So, yeah, this was like some reports, about Tom Holland being injured on set. Of course, this isn't the only fake story he's had to read about himself in the press. AI generated photos of his wedding to Zendaya did the rounds on social media recently, and even fooled Holland's family members. His grandmother thought she had been invited, but pushed on whether he had to send real photos to any other family members. Holland replied no because they were all there. When the interviewer put it to him that he wasn't aware the wedding had taken place, the actor said, "That's all you'll get on that." So yeah, just amazing being private, crazy, but it seemingly confirms that they're married. Not like it matters to us. They look like a good couple. I hope they're happy, but it's just, like, just leave them to their privacy. That's all you can really say about that. But yeah. And then leaning into the meme, the CEO of sex himself, Ned Leeds, he's essentially here. He's pumping up the Spidey tracker that we were talking about yesterday. But also hello movie spud. Yeah, the color pops. That's what I'm loving about it too. But yeah, this is again, when you lean into the memes but don't try too hard about it, that's when it's good. That's when it's actually pretty damn good. And when you're like, from founder and CEO Ned Leeds, the CEO of sex himself. Yeah, it's and the fucking these guys are going crazy. CEO sex, my Ned talk. The CEO anything but release sex too. But yeah, good stuff. Again, leaning into the meme is always a good time. But yeah. Love it. But apparently Spider-Man Brand New Day's genius marketing trick teases mystery villain ahead of new trailer. As we wait for Spider-Man Brand New Day's brand new trailer, Sony has revealed a new marketing website and a special message from Ned Leeds, which was being played before. Spidey Tracker functions as both a real-world marketing website that teases various upcoming events and appearances, including the panel at Comic-Con next month, but it's also an in-movie site as well. It seems like in the film itself, it is something that's actually been created by Ned, as he keeps tabs on all Spider-Man's movements in a new video promoting the site. With Batalon in character as Ned, there's also a tease of several Brand New Day villains, including Scorpion, Tarantula, Boomerang, the Hand, Punisher, and a mystery villain about whom little is currently known. It also promises a product launch tomorrow, which is expected to be when the new trailer debuts, and this was the video. So obviously they're talking about what's the, villain. I think I don't think Jean Grey is the villain. I think if it's true that Sadie Sink is in fact Jean Grey, I think maybe what they're probably teasing with this one is like maybe she got sent here, or the mutants have been in hiding, or she's a lone wolf in this world. I don't know whether it's multiversal or not, but like I think she's tracking a villain, and what it's probably going to be is like, then while she's trying to catch this villain, she is like kidnapped by damage control or whatever, and she's like, no, I'm trying to stop this villain, and she looks like the bad guy, but really she's trying to save people. But yeah, I think that's my John's theory time kind of thing. Yeah, stranger things have happened. Yeah. Yes, Boss Ned, indeed. But yeah. But yeah. With that, I think that's a pretty good theory for me. But whoever the mystery villain is, hopefully it doesn't suck. I mean, it might be Tombstone. Like, that's just like, oh, they're just not revealing him yet, which is silly, but like, whatever. I don't think he's the mystery villain, though. I think he's a villain that's just not really being mentioned. Maybe he's just has a short glimpse. So, but that could be cool if he is the mystery villain. Tom Holland says that Owen Cooper from Adolescence would be a great potential Spider-Man successor. If that's the case, that's unlikely. I think he means if like they ever reboot Peter Parker, then Owen Cooper should be the case. But like, if they are, moving on from Peter Parker, it's either going to be Gwen Stacy, where in this world they're just going to skip the whole romantic interest of Peter. They're just going to make Ghost Spider, Spider Woman, whatever the name should decide to be. That's just going to be Gwen Stacy in this world. They're not going to do any like Gwen Stacy as a romantic love interest because that's such from a bygone era that it's just like, nope, we're not doing that. So they're probably going to either do that or they're going to do Miles Morales or even like Mayday Parker, which would be great. That's what that's what it should have been for fucking, Sadie Sink, but obviously we don't have traditional Ginger MJ, so that doesn't work. But I think I don't know. We'll see. But like I do think that that's a very good thing from what I've heard about Owen Cooper. So also hello. But yeah. And then we get into some quick hits. MCU quick hits, I should say. We have a couple here. Where are they? There they are. Okay. But first things first is Marvel's most lethal anti-heroes face off in new Deadpool and Punisher Big Guns crossover. If you liked edgy, gory crap, then this is probably going to be for you. Deadpool's got a new mission, a new vehicle, and a new enemy. Wait, are we talking about Frank Castle? Big Guns starts here as multiple forces converge on the ultimate weapon, but it can only emerge only one could emerge victorious. As the spectacle of summer rolls in, Frank Castle finds himself at odds with the regenerate and degenerate Deadpool, but not all is as it seems, as a mysterious interloper seems to be manipulating circumstances of people alike, setting the duo on a collision course with Calamity. So, yeah, if you're interested in this sort of thing, cool, but this kind of just looks like edgy, like 90s drivel to me. Apparently, Charles Melton rumored to be in talks for a Marvel Studios reboot role. This is coming from now this is according to My Time to Shine. Charles Melton is in talks for an undisclosed role in the reboot. I don't really know who this guy is. Apparently he was in Riverdale, Beef, and May December. Then we have our favorite asshole, Jeff Snyder. There are others still in the mix, saying that he is the front runner for Hank McCoy, and the vibe I get from him, like, yeah, I can definitely see that. And Peter Claffey, who plays the main role, the big guy, the big himbo knight in Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So is also apparently a front runner, but it's coming from My Time to Shine, Jeff Snyder, and they're usually wrong. So yeah, I don't know if this is the case. I don't really have much to say about the guy either because I'm not really familiar with his acting. So I've never even heard of him until today. So yeah. Yes, I agree. Yay, figure drawing and I can agree on something. 100%. But then finally, X-Men reboot writer says Kevin Feige wants to take a big swing and start anew with Marvel's Mutants. In an interview with Deadline, the Beef creator likened his work on X-Men to his experience writing Thunderbolts, explaining that the latter had more restrictions because it needed to fit into pre-existing storylines and characters. Not only did that movie have to pick up the plot threads of several MCU movies and TV shows, but it also had to tie into Avengers Doomsday. According to Lee, there's a lot more freedom with Marvel's Mutant movie, and he had this to say: I'd say there were actually more parameters on Thunderbolts because it was plugging into an existing arc and existing characters, whereas with X-Men, Kevin Feige just wants to take a big swing and start anew, not be beholden to any of the movies that have come before. And Jake Schreier has such a clear vision in terms of wanting to get back to character first and to what is exciting about those early Chris Claremont run comics. Yeah, because apparently nobody else on planet Earth has fucking written an X-Men comic other than Chris Claremont. Like nobody else. You can't take any, like, not the original Stan Lee stuff, not the stuff, not this, not that. No, none of them. Not even Grant Morrison's fucking shitty ass run. None of that. None of it. Nope, we're not doing that. Only Chris Claremont. Oh, like nobody else has written an X-Men comic. Nobody on fucking planet Earth. It's like, it's the whole thing of like fucking, oh, Frank Miller and Dark Knight fucking Returns is the only Batman comic. It's like, guys, there are other runs, other stories, other shit in regards to X-Men that isn't fucking Chris Claremont related. Goddamn, bro. Goddamn. There's like, is Chris Claremont's X-Men the best run? Probably. I don't know. I haven't fucking read an X-Men comic in years, or like, goddamn, I don't even remember the last time I read one. But it's just like, guys, it's just so like, it's just so tiring, bro. It's just so tiring. Like, it's amazing how Bryan Singer, the piece of shit he is, fucking absconded, like banned comic books from set and still managed to make some of the best fucking comic book movies of all time by doing that. And yet going all in on the one run that everyone knows and everyone fucking is inspired from, blah blah blah. It's just like, goddamn, so tiring. There's other stuff. There's other great writers who wrote for X-Men that are not Chris Claremont. It's just tiring, guys. I'm so tired. Like, of only Frank Miller, only Chris Claremont. Fucking just ridiculous. Anyway, it was all about team dynamics. There were a lot of soapy elements in those comics. We've been in the room every day together. Kevin and Louis Desposito are so dialed in, and they have such incredible instincts that it's been fun to just blue sky. Cool. I mean, I hope she makes great stuff. You know, they've allegedly been a lifelong fan of Marvel's Mutants. I'm such a big fan of that IP of the comics. My dad and I, every Saturday morning, used to watch the show on television. So to be able to look around this Marvel conference room and have every X-Men character on the board and be able to spitball and freestyle on, what about this person? It's so emboldening because you're like, oh, wow, this isn't going to be a safe movie. This is actually going to be a really exciting new take. But is it going to be good? That's the thing. Is it going to be good? Which it's not going to be on the same level as X2, Days of Future Past, and Logan, but, you know, whatever. So when asked what guides him while writing the movie, Lee explained that he's trying to satisfy the fan he wants. Okay, so it's, would younger me want to run to the movie theater to watch this? Are we honoring all the amazing work that the comics set up? Are we playing it safe? Are we pushing things? It's just trying to look at my childhood self who loved these characters so much and making sure we're doing right by him and all the other fans that love X-Men. But yeah, I mean, I hope the movie's good. I don't have like a big fucking, you know, I don't have any like preconceived, like I'm indifferent. Like, I want it to be good. I don't trust it will be great. I'm gonna get like, I fully expect something that's on the level of like X-Men The Last Stand and like X-Men Apocalypse, where it's like, it's decent, but will it be like great? Probably not. It'll be mid. Like it'll be a strong like 6.5 out the gate. You know, that's what I'm like, and then maybe they'll realize what people actually want to see, and then we'll get that. But yeah, I think I just hope we'll get something good. I don't think we will. I think we'll get something okay. I think we will get a solidly okay movie. So yeah, I just use other inspiration, guys. There's other shit. But yeah, I think it's definitely gonna be a-okay. Not great, but a-okay. And then, well, then unfortunately Dan isn't here to talk about this, but oh, I forgot to change the news banner. Oh well, that was MCU Weekly. Whoopsie daisies. And now we get into TV Talk Terror. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, it dropped a new trailer, which I haven't seen, so I can't fucking talk about it. But apparently they're promising a Spock and Kirk team up, which is like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like that's what the show eventually becomes the two of them. Hello. But in a new trailer for the fourth season of the Paramount Plus series, Spock says that he has many things he wants to talk about, and that Kirk is the one he is meant to share them with. So the crew of the USS Enterprise, led by Captain Christopher Pike, embark on a series of thrilling and emotional adventures across the stars. As they journey to strange new worlds, they will battle inner demons and external threats, encounter colorful new characters, reunite with familiar faces, and confront terrifying aliens. Through it all, they strive to embrace a bright, hopeful future. So, yeah. I'm sure it's gonna be fine and dandy. Hopefully. I don't know. I never fucking watched a goddamn season of the show. But for the fans, I hope it's good. Yay. Next up, we have Movie Talk Madness. Yeah. But yeah. Okay. So next up, oh god, Toy Story 5. Yay. A charming, flawlessly animated sequel we didn't know we needed. Critics say the film is another triumph for Pixar with outstanding character work, immaculate visuals, and a timely message. Has Pixar made another masterpiece? Against all odds, those wizards at Pixar have done it again, resulting in one of their best films in recent memory. Toy Story 5 is yet another worthy addition to what has become one of our most consistently great film franchises. While it falters a bit at the start, it pulls itself together brilliantly to deliver classic Pixar charm. The aesthetic whimsy that's made the Toy Story movie so popular is all but absent in Stanton's film. Interesting. So J. Cole is very negative about it. How does it compare to the rest of the Toy Story movies? It's not the series' best, but in most respects, it still is better than the rest. Then that would be the best movie, but you don't want to say it's the best movie because you're too much of a pussy to say that. If the original Toy Story is still my favorite, is Meet the Beatles, and Toy Story 3 is Sgt. Pepper, the splendidly catchy and seductive Toy Story 5 feels like Abbey Road. I hate you for comparing this to the Beatles. A marked improvement on its predecessor. Previous Toy Story movies have been timeless, but Toy Story 5 is the first one to feel of its time. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing remains unknown. The film is definitely rougher around the edges compared to previous entries, with its many cluttered subplots that are often incredibly disjointed. For older audiences, this is the weakest of the series and could have been a straight-to-Disney Plus streaming release. Ouch. Does it feel necessary? Because a lot of people claim that Toy Story 4 was not necessary. With Toy Story 5, Pixar once again delivers a sequel that audience didn't know they needed. The truth is that the Toy Story movies are all beautiful, all brilliant, all different, and they work all together. Now, it's a sublime summing up, a movie that reflects the whole series in its magic mirror, unnecessary and charming. The ham-fisted subplot about Buzz's desire to propose to the cowgirl and the return of Woody feel like nothing more than thin justifications for getting the gang back together. While Toy Story 5 doesn't quite justify its existence, it is nice to see Pixar continue to rep the family movie that doesn't talk down to its audience. What works best? Evolving along tradition of evolving along with its audience. Toy Story 5 escalates in delight, real triumph. Doesn't bring anything new to the franchise. Contains all the series hallmarks, but foregrounds the human side of the story in a way the series has never done before. Truly the first film to bring an equal amount of emotional resonance to both toy and human characters. Toy Story 5 feels like a fresh start for the series, which is no bad thing. That was a screenplay. Sometimes they say immaculate, some say disjointed, somewhat less cohesive storyline, structurally scattershot. For the first time, a seemingly unnecessary Toy Story sequel has at last pushed the material too far, finding a compelling new topic, but failing to build a sturdy structure topic. Man, J. Cole really fucking hates this movie, man. Is it funnier than previous entries? The film is crucially very funny, this person says, as well as a couple other things. Does it have a good message? Yeah, it's like about, consumer shit and maybe a little forced. And then J. Cole is like, those moments too often give the film the feel of a PSA aimed at convincing parents to monitor their kids' screen time. I only care about what this guy has to say. Like, he's just like shitting on this fucking movie, bro. is it completely anti-technology? The film isn't tech-phobic or anti-tech. It's simply warning that too much screen time may rot your brain and make you socially inept. Yeah, I could have fucking told you that. Why do we fucking need a whole movie about it? Do we need to bring tissues? I practically cried throughout the entire final act. How is the animation this time? One of the most visually striking entries in the series. What did J. Cole have to say? There's some spark to the brief moments where we see an approximation of Bonnie's imagination when she plays with her old toys. Damn. Who is the MVP? Jesse's film. Jesse. Closure to Woody's arc, but it's also about Jesse. It's mainly Jesse, so that's good to see, I guess. How are the new characters? Fun, quirky, and a kind of soul. Taylor Swift, don't give a fuck about that. Will this installment leave us wanting more? Maintaining this level of quality 5 films deep into a franchise is impressive. Go ahead, Pixar, make as many of these as you want. Yeah, okay, great. And we are going to get fucking more of this garbage. Given Disney's addiction to franchises, we shouldn't be surprised if Toy Story 6 comes along, and at least the series now feels at peace with additional stories rather than bidding these characters a fond farewell. Then you shouldn't have made Toy Story 3. Like, you should have just skipped that shit fucking entirely. If you're like, oh yeah, we're going to bid these fuckers farewell, and then you keep making more, then just, you shouldn't have had Toy Story 3 be about the end. You shouldn't have done that then. It's like, if you wanted to make more of these movies, that's fine. Make as many of you want. Don't have the most perfect ending in cinematic fucking history to end your third movie and then continue on from that, because then it just feels moot. Kind of like Hugh Jackman coming back to play Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine, making Logan moot because money and God hates us. Also, hi, Dan.
Hey, I caught a rant. Hello everybody. Hi, Stacy. I see you guys in the chat. I got Brian in the chat. From what I've heard, Brian, about Toy Story 5, you don't need to see the other movies. It does kind of work on its own, although obviously you'll get, more gratification from having seen the rest, because, the characters, they're not doing like from scratch introductions. Hello, Figure Drawing. Hi, Smacky. We also, of course, have, I saw Movie Spud in the chat earlier. Of course, Marco's here. D. Ross. Who else? Did we miss anybody? Oh yeah, Hunter. Yeah, you were looking for me. I'm here. Thank you for asking. John, I was reading that, yeah, I mean, Joan Cusack's character, Jesse, kind of takes center stage here. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I mean, look, you look at this page of reviews, and it's a decent mix, although it's still largely positive. If you go to the Rotten Tomatoes score, it is almost flawless. Like, I don't know whether it's, if you refresh it, 110, when I looked at it earlier, it was 107. So 110 reviews, 93%, it's certified fresh. So, I mean, everything that you could possibly ask for in terms of this movie, what it needs to have a huge opening, now 111 reviews, just within the past hour. It just, I mean, this number is going to keep going up. It'll probably be over 150 reviews by the time, we get to the movie releasing in a couple of days. It seems to have everything going in its favor for having the biggest opening weekend of the year, because that's been projected. I think later on we'll discuss it a little bit, but like Minions and Monsters, they're looking at around $100 million domestic opening. This Toy Story 5 is projected to open to around 160 million or more. So that would easily be the biggest opening of the year. And we'll also talk about, what that means for other movies in the box at the box office, like Disclosure Day and, even Mandalorian and Grogu and Masters of the Universe, all movies that have been struggling a little bit. But and I did want to mention quickly, after Movie Talk Madness, I'd like to go back and talk about the Star Trek trailer. So if you can go back to that. But anyway, I mean, this is good. I mean, Toy Story 5.
I mean, it's something. I don't know if it's good,
well, I know,
but it's something.
Well, you read like a lot of the negative stuff. I know like not everybody's loving it. Obviously, like 7% of the critics have given it an overall negative effect, but like that means 93% so far are enjoying it. So we'll see how it turns. I'm gonna watch it and see how it turns out, because I still like the premise. I did see several negative headlines from some big outlets earlier talking about how, like, this run its course, or the premise was promising, but they don't really, I guess, tackle it to the degree that maybe they expected it to. I don't know. It's that thing when you're the fifth movie in the franchise, you have to balance whatever theme that you're trying to tackle, whatever like big motif is. Like in this one, it's all about like, tablets and stuff taking over kids' lives growing up instead of like, action figure toys and stuff the way it used to be. And then you have to balance that with the characters that you already have had for like in this case 4 prior movies. So you have to strike the balance between continuing those character stories and then telling the story specific to that particular installment, which is something that the longer a franchise goes on for, it's almost like it's like plaque buildup in your arteries in a way, because it's like you would do better to make this premise as its own fresh Pixar movie that wasn't a Toy Stories film. But they're like, we have a Toy Story franchise, and from a marketing standpoint, it's just gonna attract a much bigger audience, which, considering it's set to open to over $160 million, just domestically, worldwide, you add that up, it's gonna be even bigger. So it makes sense, and I realize that John's not as optimistic about it because, it's like, again, sequels and stuff. But here's the thing, the whole idea of like, oh, they're making only sequels and stuff in Hollywood, like it's never been only sequels. They make plenty of original movies, and Obsessions, Obsession, Backrooms are great examples, but even beyond that, there's plenty we'll talk about in quick hits as well. So, Toy Story and artery blockage. I was trying to make an analogy. I don't really know if that's the right analogy to use in this case or not. Actually, I don't know if Monique is here today. Is Monique in the chat? I haven't seen her in the chat. I'm gonna scroll back up. I mean, what do you guys think? Like those reviews look pretty okay, like not just okay, but pretty good. 93% is not bad at all. I was surprised because when I was looking at some of the headlines, I was like, oh, that looks like a mixed reception for Toy Story 5. And then you look at the Rotten Tomato score and it's like 93%. So I'll be honest, I don't think 4 was as good. Although, again, they've figured out ways to make it work. It just still feels like, to me, the biggest hangup about Toy Story today, especially since Toy Story 3, because I think Toy Story 4 was a worthy movie, but it's just, like I mentioned a few minutes ago, like it's like I had my journey with those set of characters, with Woody, with Buzz, and everybody else in the crew. I like what Pixar is doing with the stories. I think Toy Story 5 and Toy Story 4, based on what we know about Toy Story 5 so far, and having seen Toy Story 4, they work as standalone movies. They even work as part of the larger Toy Story franchise. But it's like I personally have this like maybe sense of nostalgia where I'm like, maybe if they did it and it wasn't a Toy Story thing and they just started fresh with a new set of characters, I feel a little conflicted, because I felt like that story of those characters ended when Andy went off to college, and Toy Story 3. And maybe it's because I was, of the age that I could really relate to that experience on an emotional level. So maybe people who are younger than me or older than me will look at it differently. So it's just, I personally have a little bit of like internal conflict of that. Like, as good of a movie as it is, I still feel like, maybe they should have started new with, I don't know, new Toy Story, and then this would be new Toy Story 2 at this point rather than a Toy Story 5. I mean, that bad example for an alternate name, but I like, I hope you know what I'm talking about here, but they're high quality toys, they're round and playable. You know what? That's the other thing. I mean, these freaking toys now, I don't know how fast time passes in this universe. Obviously, they're toys, we're overthinking it. It's an animated movie or, franchise, but like those toys, like in this franchise, they could have, I don't know, like 20, like they have lasted quite a while. Like, they say that some of their owners have been pretty rough on them, and I'm like, I feel like they've been around for 20 years. I don't remember like most kids having action figures that look that good 20 years later. So, but I'm now getting too into the nitty gritty that doesn't really matter so much. So I'm gonna leave that there. You guys let me know what you guys think about Toy Story 5. The reviews are looking pretty good. They're glowing, even 93% certified fresh, over 100 reviews already. It's looking like it's gonna have the biggest opening of the year so far, and you know what? Maybe even the biggest, certainly of the summer. But It's got, if it can be higher opening than Doomsday, Dune Part 3, and even the Odyssey, then that's, they're doing something right. But let's move on, because we got to talk a little bit about Paddington. So Studio Canal, the studio behind Paddington, they just announced that they're actually working on pre-sales. So basically the way Studio Canal works is they distribute through local distributors across different regions of the world. So they're working on pre-sales now, so trying to sell not just the the next Paddington movie that they already announced. They're trying to like concurrently with that live action quote unquote Paddington movie. They're also working on an animated Paddington movie. So this will, be produced and be distributed and released around the same time. And it looks like they're looking to get some buyers, like, distributors in different parts of the world, because again, Studio Canal doesn't distribute their movies all over the world. Kind of, not like the big Hollywood studios, Studio Canal being a French studio. And they did just wrap up the pre-sales for the Midnight Library, which we know that's the Florence Pugh movie that in the U.S. Paramount purchased, the rights to distribute that movie for $30 million plus. So all together pretty good. But John, are you excited about a Paddington animated movie in addition to
if it's as good as the other three movies, then
yeah,
I'm sure it'll be great. And so
again,
yeah.
This is separate from the fourth Paddington live action.
Yeah, no,
also,
I know.
Right? So there's two Paddington movies in the world. Two, like I'm holding up four fingers, but two Paddington movies coming up, which is good. And then if you go to the next article, that's not the only thing Paddington we got to talk about today, because in the world of Paddington, not only are you getting more live action movies and animated movies, the Paddington musical is set to open on Broadway in spring of 2027.
I'm surprised it's on Broadway, not on the West End. Like, it's British.
Maybe we'll go that way, because we have seen stuff. What was that one?
Also, by the way, I got the Supergirl ice cream again, and this time I got the big one. So I got the Supergirl.
You're making me want to get it too. Oh God, I have a Caramel.
But it's like, because the thing is, I had to throw it in the freezer because I wasn't hungry.
Oh no, I know, I hear you.
So like, it's like frozen solid right now, so I gotta wait.
Yeah. But the trick is, if you do put it in the freezer, don't leave it in for too long, because then those ice crystals form and you lose the texture. I did that the other day. So if you bring, because like it was melting a little bit, so I'm like, I'm gonna throw it in the freezer, let it cool down a little bit more, and then I'll eat it. But then I left it in there for like 5 hours, and it's like, oh, it still tasted okay, but it could have tasted better. Anyway, I was saying, Evita, what was that? What's Rachel Zegler was in that show on West End, right? So Evita went from West End to Broadway, and we have seen plays. It doesn't matter if you start.
No, I know. It's just like I feel like West End would make more sense to me.
It would, but you know what? That's great. You got a new live action Paddington movie, an animated Paddington movie, and Paddington on Broadway. So I hope, if you weren't already, you will certainly be in a few years' time, all Paddington out. Or maybe not. Maybe you'll still want some more. So with that, we move on to talking about Netflix. Now, John, of course, we have covered this for a long time. And the Chronicle of Narnia, that whole franchise, Disney had it for a while in the early 2000s, right when they were doing the Pirates movies and stuff, before they had Marvel and Lucasfilm.
We can't have Lord of the Rings. Let's go with the child-friendly equivalent.
But the new Narnia is, of course, being done over at Netflix. Greta Gerwig being the director. Netflix has already made the announcement. We talked about it in detail. It is going to be released theatrically. It's going to have a full theatrical release window. The first time ever Netflix is going to do that. They moved it from this Thanksgiving to next springtime. Now, as part of that, of course, we know that Netflix doesn't really have the infrastructure to distribute a movie themselves. So there was the question, now that you're giving it a full theatrical release, not just a limited IMAX run, who's gonna distribute it for you? And well, now we know that Sony Pictures is on board with Netflix to distribute Greta Gerwig's Narnia the Magician's Nephew globally. So they are the global theatrical release partner, the distribution partner for Netflix. It does make sense because Sony has their, just recently, a few months ago, we talked about it, up their pay one streaming deal with Netflix from just being a US specific deal to being a worldwide deal, meaning anywhere in the world now, pretty much all around, wherever you get Netflix, as soon as Sony Pictures movie becomes available to stream, the first streaming service it goes to is Netflix. So like Spider-Man Brand New Day, when it goes to streaming, and beyond just being able to rent it and buy it, when it goes to streaming, is gonna show up on Netflix first, and then it's gonna go after that window expires to Disney Plus. So Netflix and Sony have a pretty good working relationship, so it makes sense that they're doing it this way. Now, of course, the Netflix had a statement about this whole announcement. They said sometimes a film like this comes along, and we can give the filmmaker a different canvas and fans a theatrical experience that complements this Netflix release. I just hope, John, that with all this being said, with Sony distributing it kind of like almost like Apple distributing Warner Brothers distributing F1 for Apple, and we saw how that became a huge hit. My hope is that this Narnia movie does well enough to convince Netflix that, hopefully the sequels, because I'd imagine they would want to do sequels if it does well, that they put them out in theaters as well. Because, of course, we heard recently this idiot here who's running the Netflix film department mention how this was the exception, and we're not, we shouldn't expect them to release movies in theaters all of a sudden. And I'm like,
which is so stupid, but like, sure.
Like, if they make money, and if like who doesn't like money? Like Netflix likes money, I'm sure they do. So like, if this ends up making over $500 million, which there's no guarantee, and it's too early to tell, honestly, we haven't seen any piece of footage from the film, but it does have a pretty impressive cast, including Daniel Craig. I hope that if it does good business, because it's like, remember they released one of the Knives Out movies in theaters for like a week or two, and it did really well. It actually was
they did the same movie with
number one
Frankenstein,
movie.
Tyler
Yeah.
Perry's post-woman Oscar bait movie.
When they put the K-pop Demon Hunters, it was the number one. It was the first time Netflix had a number one movie on the weekend at the box office. Like, it's the evidence is there. Netflix, not everything they make needs to be a theatrical release, but certainly something like this could be really successful. So I do hope that if this does well, which I hope it does. Hello, Steven. How are you doing? Then Netflix goes ahead and maybe for the sequels, if whether they have Greta Gerwig come back for the sequels or not, hopefully they'll take a similar approach. Because the last time you heard from this idiot here, I'm not even going to name him down on the photo there, who runs the Netflix film department, he was like, I guess we just won't be working with filmmakers who want their movies to be released in theaters. That's just not us. And Narnia is an exception. I'm pretty sure when that statement went viral, that Greta Gerwig probably raised an eyebrow and was like, huh? So you're doing it for me here, but does that mean that if I want to do another Narnia movie with you guys, that you will just be like, oh, sorry, the next one has to go to Netflix directly? It's because it does create like, this incongruent kind of, I don't know, approach. Like, you can't, you give yourself a weaker hand in terms of being able to negotiate with some of the best filmmakers in the world. Plenty of, directors will still sign up, but it's just, yeah, I mean, like, Guillermo del Toro made Frankenstein, with Netflix because it was a passion project. But there will be directors out there who are like, I'm willing to take this set of ideas that I have for a movie elsewhere where I can get a theatrical release. And it's just, Netflix seems to think really highly of themselves, but I just hope that they learn the right lessons from this. Of course, if it all works out, and Sony being on board to distribute Narnia. So with that, let's move on. We have to talk about a couple of movie trailers, and then we'll do some TV talk here, so I can talk about the Star Trek trailer. But before we get that far, John, we had a couple of big trailers drop today. This, of course, is the next Disney animated movie, Hex.
Mm-hmm. I didn't get to see this one, but I know my friend's mad about it because it's like, oh, it's just it's just the Owl House, but a movie. And I'm like, okay, whatever you say. But sure.
I actually have no reference for that. But I mean, this is Disney Animation's next, big movie. So not Pixar, but Disney Animation. And their newest hero, of course, Haley Steinfeld, plays the titular character, not the titular, but like the main character here. They call it a spellbinding first teaser. It is a teaser, so it's not terribly. I mean, it's a couple of minutes long, so you could say it's a teaser trailer. It's not really like
what this kind of reminds me of. Just looking at the synopsis, it kind of reminds me of Halloween Town.
Yeah, I mean, and it's also like you're talking about like in some ways it's similar to like Turning Red, because you're talking about like high school teenager,
that too. But that was
right,
Pixar, not Disney, so
right, exactly. That's a great point. But like Disney Animation kind of tackling it, and it's it definitely reminds you of like those like Disney Channel, like magic kind of movies. Hex. It's fun. I like the look of it. It's actually closer to that old school Pixar look of the animation than it is to like the newly textured design that they do. Although the details are still plenty, but it doesn't have like that like everything looks like a some kind of like abstract art form than the textures and stuff. It's less experimental in its animation design, until you get to parts of the movie where it gets more fantastical. But even then, I like the look of it, and I like the sound of it. I mean, for a 2-minute first look at the movie,
I mean, I like Rashida Jones. I love Haley
Yeah.
Steinfeld. I don't know if I'd watch it. Just maybe I'll I don't know. I haven't seen the trailer yet, so maybe I'll watch the trailer and be into it. But I've been very iffy on a lot of Disney and
Yeah.
Pixar stuff, so we'll see. But I hope it's good.
And they asked the question in this comicbookmovie.com article that is this going to be closer to the something like Frozen was, huge hit, became a multi-billion dollar franchise, or is it going to be something closer to Strange World, which I don't even think most people remember that was a thing. So there's with Disney animation, there's been that gulf. Like, so we'll see if this becomes the next Frozen or not. I mean, it's at least a good sign that they're trying again new original concepts, because you want to have new if you're going to create a new franchise, you're going to start somewhere, right? So whether this works or not, I appreciate the originality. I'm looking forward to it. It's just certainly not something that I'm going to be rushing to go to the movie theater to see on day one at least. So, but we'll see how the reviews are when we get closer to release time. So, with that, let's move on to the next trailer. The next one is a much bigger trailer in terms of like what everybody in the world, I'm sure, wants to see.
You might
You're
be
an
an
all-star.
all-star.
You are. We all are, John. Because Shrek 5 just dropped his first teaser trailer. Everybody, Shrek, Fiona, and their adult kids go to jail with Donkey. And then my favorite part of the trailer was Gingerbread Man who's caked up.
Oh God!
Did you see that? I was like, oh,
I
God,
like
that's totally
I
it
like
for me.
my favorite was the reference to Frozen with the
Yeah,
Olaf.
do you want to date a snowman? I was like, yes. I went back and I listened to the whole song. Like, do you want to build a snowman? I was like, okay, I can't wait for the parody version of the song in the whole movie.
Honestly, like I don't know if I was gonna see this or not, but I will say, yeah, the animation looks a little funky. The jokes are pretty cringy. I think it won me over with just that fucking Frozen like dunk. Like, yeah. I'll see it just for that. I'll give it a chance. Like, I don't really love the new animation, but I don't hate it either. Yeah. It just looks off to me since those 4 movies all looked the same, and now they're trying out a new animation style, which kind of looks a little more realistic.
It's much more detailed, and also can you tell that these characters feel like they've aged for the first time? Yeah. Like Shrek is meant to feel a bit older. You could see like maybe some wrinkles or some bagginess in facial features. Also, like you said, the level of detail. I mean, Donkey's got a goatee, which is partly was there before, but it feels like if you watch this and you compare to the original movies, it's almost like somebody turned on the 4K enhancement or like the AI filter, because there's so much more detail. But I'm not saying this movie is using AI to do any of that, but it's like the clock feels real. It almost feels photoreal in the trailer. So, it looks there's several references to like other movies, and I'm just like, the best part about this trailer is that this movie is gonna stay true to the Shrek tradition of like being like a mockumentary and poking fun and being a parody of a lot of those other iconic animated movies that people love over the years.
So I mean, I didn't love the trailer, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I'll give.
Yeah. Oh, they had kids like 2 movies ago. They're like adults basically, or like teenagers. Like they basically are adult size in this trailer. If you haven't seen, this will make $1 billion. I'm willing to bet you Shrek 5 will be one of the highest grossing movies
I hope it
of
makes
2027. It's gonna have like a Toy Story 5 like opening weekend. This is like a year out, but I'm like, it's the first time in 17 years they're putting out a Shrek movie. I know they did the Puss in Boots the Wish in 2022, but even that is like, by the time this comes out, would have been like 5 years old. So yeah, and dude, it's like, I mean, Skylar Gisondo is in the movie as well.
And that guy from SNL,
Marcelo Hernandez. Yeah, Marcelo Hernandez. Yeah. Oh yes. Because they're gonna be playing Felicia, Fergus, and Farkle. So Skylar's playing Farkle, Marcello's playing Fergus, and then Zendaya's playing Felicia. So the continuity is all there. The continuity is all there. And you know what? It continues the return of Mike Myers to Hollywood, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about that later. It's not really Mike, but yeah, we're gonna talk about it later. There's a quick hit about Mike Myers, which will be fun. But Mike Myers doing big things back in Hollywood, and I can't wait. This trailer is the best trailer I've seen in some time.
Okay, calm down. The trailer wasn't that good. I mean, the movie
It
kind of
was
looks
good.
like
It was
garbage, but like
fun. No, what?
it's. I mean,
okay, I'm allowed to kind of exaggerate because I love Shrek. And
I
just
love
miss
Shrek. I'm
So,
gonna
come
watch
on.
it anyway. But like some of the jokes were pretty bad, and the animation just doesn't look quite right.
Come on,
but
it's a little
it's.
irreverent.
I mean, I'm want to
you gotta
give it a
adjust a
chance. It
little
was
bit,
only
you
like
know?
a minute
Yeah.
long. I'll give it a chance. So
I mean, come on, people
yeah.
would have been complaining if the animation looked the same that it did like 20 years ago, because like even the original movies, yes, they got better. Like if you compared the animation from the first Shrek movie to the third one, and especially by the fourth one, the animation had improved. It's just they're using a more photorealistic, detailed version of it now, which is
Right.
fine. I'm okay with that. I think we'll get over it like within the first 10 minutes. People get used to it
Yeah.
because it's not going to stand out as much. It's like watching the last Puss in Boots movie. It looked off in the beginning, but then like 10 minutes in, you just stop noticing it. So anyway, let's keep going. Let's now go back to TV Talk Terror for a moment, John, if you could, because I want to talk about the new teaser trailer for Star Trek.
This is all
Strange
you,
New
buddy.
Worlds.
I'm just gonna eat my ice cream.
I enjoyed this trailer. It's fun. You get a little sense of nostalgia because again, this show, Strange New Worlds, is meant to kind of build up all the way to the original series, where of course we find Spock and Kirk, as the two heads, of the science team, and then of course the captain of the Enterprise, and we know where the show is heading in terms of we know the end point because it's a prequel. Obviously Captain Pike is still in the picture, but he won't be by the end of the show. And the closer we get to the end of this series, because season 4 is out, I believe season 5 was the greenlit not too long ago. We talked about it, but also as the last season. So we know that this is the penultimate season of the show, and then the next one is going to wrap up all the loose threads. We're going to figure out where all the characters that weren't featured in Star Trek Enterprise, where they end up, including obviously where Pike ends up, and then of course how we go from Captain Kirk, or I don't actually know if he's a captain yet. I think he was a captain of a different ship in season 3. Like he's been part of the show now, almost growing in his presence over the last few seasons. So but eventually he's going to end up becoming, the captain of the Enterprise, which I assume doesn't happen until next season. But up until now, there has been very limited interaction between, the Spock, who's, the science officer on the Enterprise under Pike, and Kirk, who's not the captain of Enterprise in the show, because again, it happens before the events of the original show. So I'm excited because this trailer was kind of teasing they're gonna start to really build that relationship and that rapport between Pike and Spock, or not Pike and Spock, but Kirk and Spock. So they're gonna get us slowly to that point where we start to recognize the iconic Kirk and Spock team that we know and love from Star Trek, and Enterprise, the original show. And yeah, it's not a trailer that blew me away. You get a lot of the similar stuff. VFX obviously top notch. That's what these shows have been known for. I'm not all the way caught up on the show, so I couldn't catch any of the references story wise that I might have missed. But the trailer doesn't really give away any spoilers per se. There are some interesting ideas and such, but I won't spoil anything. If you guys haven't been watching it, I will say of the current generation of Star Trek shows, Strange New Worlds has been most consistently the most fun and to watch, and also feels like the most nostalgic, that the show where it feels most true to the spirit of Star Trek, how was all Gene Roddenberry always intended it to be, as opposed to Discovery, which kind of was up and down for me, and then Picard had a mix bag of seasons. Season 3 being fun but very nostalgia heavy. Season 1 probably my I think the most true to the spirit of Star Trek. Season 2 was a trash fire, but yeah, I mean, I think of all the current generation of Star Trek shows, Strange New Worlds is probably the best one, and the one that feels most closely to the Gene Roddenberry vision for Star Trek. So yeah, I enjoyed the trailer. Looking forward to seeing what it turns into in terms of the show itself. I've got to catch up a few episodes and then I'll be ready for season 4. So looking forward to it. But with that, John, I believe if you want to step back in, oh, there you are. Let's move on and talk about your review, of course, for Disclosure Day. Disclosure Day, of course, Steven Spielberg's latest a UFO genre movie. And I've been listening and watching a lot of the podcasts that he has been on leading up to it, including he's mentioned on a few podcasts. And then he went on a New York Times podcast talking about how this movie, the initial inspiration came from a 2017 article that the Times published about UFO and, all the Pentagon files, and how that kind of kickstarted, including a week ago, just days ago.
Oh, damn, Manolo Rivera. Been a while, buddy. But
hey,
yeah,
Manolo,
you're probably
man.
right.
Yeah, we missed you, man. Yeah, no, I agree. I think season 3 was really fantastic for Picard. I wish we got more Picard. After season 3, I was like, oh, man, can we get a few more? But like, I get it. Patrick Stewart's old. It's hard to do a TV show at that age, because it's a bigger commitment than even some movie appearances. Like, you can be in a cameo appearance or do a few scenes for Avengers Doomsday. It's very different than if you're doing an 8-episode show where the show is focused around your character. So, but anyway, John, Disclosure Day. Steven Spielberg talking about like UFOs. I'm just gonna, before you do your review, having not seen the movie yet, again, we're gonna try to keep it, spoiler free for you guys.
Yeah,
I'm not
might
not have seen it, and if you guys come across it and you don't want the twist to get out, although I've kind of like figured out most of the movie's outline at this point, because I watched one of the podcasts where they talk about it in a sort of spoilery fashion. But I will say this, one of my biggest concerns about Disclosure Day was going into it is that Steven Spielberg's ideas about UFOs and that whole alien UFO culture are a little outdated, or they're maybe stuck in the past. And I was afraid that it was going to come across in this movie that those ideas feel outdated, therefore the movie might feel outdated. So having said that, I'm going to let you talk about the movie, and then later we'll talk a little bit more about like its prospects for ultimately what it's going to do at the box office, and why or why not, the audience is maybe, not enjoying it as much as people thought they would. So go on ahead, John, talk about your review for Disclosure.
Yeah, so for me, I ran the gamut of reviews before sitting down and watching this in the theater with my mom. I was going to see it with both my parents, but my dad had work, so I went with my mom, just with my mom. I saw an overwhelming negative, I saw overwhelming mixed, and I saw overwhelming positive from various different outlets and people and all sorts of things. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go with an open mind. I'm going to go with an open heart and see what Spielberg has in store for us once again. And I'm gonna say this in regards to Disclosure Day. This was definitely one of the most emotional and transcendent experiences I have ever had watching a feature film in the theater. The last time a movie really had me feel this way in the theater was probably Godzilla -1. Don't get me wrong, I have seen a lot of amazing movies. I've seen a lot of fantastic movies. Like Project Hail Mary still remains my favorite movie, but this was just an absolute emotional drive that I really did not expect, and it showed why Steven Spielberg is one of the greatest directors of all time. Because for me, on the surface, the surface level stuff is great. Everything is phenomenal. I found the acting from Emily Blunt, Josh O'Connor, Colin Firth, Coleman Domingo, all of them gave such great performances. I wouldn't say Emily Blunt carried the movie. Honestly, Emily Blunt did an amazing job. Nothing to knock on Emily Blunt. I think my favorite performance was actually Coleman Domingo. What I loved, I love how so different it's about these 4 quadrant people. You have Josh O'Connor being this cold, distant kind of guy who experienced this, who is dealing with the stuff of stealing secrets and all that. Then you have Emily Blunt, who is dealing with this idea of aliens for the first time, and it's what's going on with that. And then Coleman Domingo's just, it shows how amazing Domingo is as an actor. He can play this abusive fucking piece of shit in Michael, and then he's this calm, cool, a mentor kind of character who, it's just whenever he's on screen, it's just like a nice breath of fresh air because of how he carries himself in this movie, and I love how he did that. And then Colin Firth, a lot of people say he's the weakest part of one of the weaker parts of the movie. I don't think so. He is a little bit out of depth. Like, it was interesting, like, oh, Colin Firth, like, he's kind of not really known for these kinds of movies. I mean, I don't think he's worked with Spielberg before. I mean, none of them have, except for I think Coleman Domingo did work with him at one point. But none of the, I mean, he almost worked with him on that Porgy and Bess movie that never happened. But Colin Firth is a little, like, maybe out there, but I still think he gave a great performance, and I think he did give a sort of cold and distant kind of performance, kind of mirroring Josh O'Connor, but he still gave this very good, very authoritative kind of performance. He had, like, very little humanity. You find out why later on in the movie, but I like how he carried himself. The score from John Williams, excellent. It felt like an unused Indiana Jones score that never happened. And I mean that in a good way. It, like, had this, like, almost this, like, very adventurous kind of, like, feel to it. Like, it was like you're going on an adventure, and that's what the Indiana Jones movies are. That's what this kind of feels like. It's not real. I expect, like, from what the initial trailers promised, it was kind of like, oh, it's going to be like more like a Cold War thriller. It's not really like that. It's not really like that at all. But for me, I liked the overall plot line. I was engaged, like, even though it's very much a dialogue heavy movie. It's not a lot of action. Maybe there's a couple car chases here and there. There's some action, mainly in the second half, but I feel like it's definitely more about, like, the philosophical ideas that comes from the idea of, like, bringing in what's the idea of the other, aliens coming down to Earth, because a friend of mine was talking about how there's always, like, a part of each of his previous movies, like War of the Worlds is about how the other, it's like aliens are the other, the threat coming on to us. Close Encounters is more about the family, and then I forget what E.T. was. I'm blanking on that one, but he referenced that, like, he referenced the video. I forget what he said, but, like, yeah, it was definitely like each movie has these three aspects: family, the other, and something else. I'm fucking not remembering that. It's gonna piss me off if I can't remember it. But what I feel like this movie kind of has those three things, but it feels like Spielberg is doing something familiar but fresh and new at the same time. And what I really think this movie does well, that I feel like a lot of fucking people are missing when it comes to this movie, that are calling it bad, that are calling it boring, is the fact that it's not just about, like, the idea of aliens coming down and meaning, like, what would that mean for humanity? Because if Spielberg wanted to tell that story, he would have fucking told that story. He's told that story. Like, if you want, like, the idea of aliens meeting us coming down, watch the other three movies. Watch War of the Worlds. If you want hostile, if you want friendly aliens, go see E.T. If you want the more mystery aspect, go watch Close Encounters. This is clearly Spielberg letting us in to himself. This is from what I got from this movie, and what I think Spielberg was trying to do with this movie, is very much him bringing the audience into his psyche, into his philosophy, into what that means for the world of his mind and aliens. Now, I know I'm not really making a lot of sense right now, but Spielberg, I feel like he's a very old school filmmaker, so he's very much in touch with the idea of the audience is a part of the experience. It's not just like, here's a movie I made, analyze it, enjoy it, blah, and that's what it kind of is for a lot of movies, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. That's just how things have evolved in terms of the movie-going experience. But Spielberg And I feel like a lot of older, directors, maybe your Cronenbergs, your Camerons, your Scorseses, like those kind of guys that are very much like, no, the whole basis around the movie-going experience is that it's an experience. It is an emotional experience between filmmaker and audience member. And I feel like Spielberg captured that the most with this movie. Now, I've seen a lot of Spielberg movies. I'm going through my binge. I haven't finished it quite yet. I still have a lot of movies to watch. I have hit the 90s of movies I have not seen yet. I think the next one I have is Hook. But this feels like, and what's ironic is Fabelmans, I thought that was the most personal movie that Spielberg has done, because that's essentially an autobiographical movie about his life, but like changed the ending so that, I have a good relationship with my father at the end, rather than this whole like secret that like his mother cheated on his father and he ended up hating his father for years. But he, in my world, I have a happy.
I was gonna say, like, in one of the interviews that he recently did, that I was many podcasts, he said like, he had a rough relationship with his father, but like when his father died, he was like over 100, and like he said like the last 22, 23 years that they had together were like better. Like they were able to sort of reconnect and
I mean,
which I understand, like, that late into your lifetime, you want to make amends, and I'm sure,
I mean, he even said
got better.
that he said, because his father was in, I believe, World War II, he said that Saving Private Ryan was his apology to his father, and as a way to commemorate not just him, but the many men who lost their lives in that war.
Spielberg got drafted for the Vietnam War, and back when he was young, and his father was like just beside himself because it felt like a death sentence back then, right? Because of how many Americans were dying.
So
were you, by the way, earlier, were you talking about like empathy? Because I noticed Spielberg says a lot about like empathy and bringing people together.
Yeah, I feel like that's a lot of part of this movie. That aspect as well. I just feel like with Disclosure Day, it's just one of those movies that's just, it's a very emotional experience. Like that's like really all. I wish I could talk about it more from like just like as a film, but like, and it's a very well made. Like I'm not saying it's a great film. But the thing that really pushes it over the edge for me, the thing I really loved about it was just Spielberg being like, this is what I think. This is what's going on in my head. And I want to share that with you. And so what I was trying to say was like Fabelmans was very much like a physical movie of like Spielberg. This is my life. This is what I went through, with some changes here and there, but this is essentially what my life is. This was like, this is what's going on in my head. This is what I think about this situation that I've been drawn to my entire life since, at the very least, 1978 when Close Encounters came out. But he very much was like, I'm letting you in. I'm letting you into me to give you insight.
I mean,
do that a lot. Yeah, a lot of Brits doing. The only British person who is doing a British accent is Colin Firth. So
you want to take it outside? I don't know if that came up in the movie.
It's with this, it just feels more than the sum of its parts, and I mean that in a good way. It's the sum of its parts. It's a great movie. That Spielbergian touch that he gives it makes it that much better. And unfortunately, I can't really talk about like the third act and the ending, but I will say the third act had me in tears. I was crying by the end of this movie. It would just, from the emotion of what was happening, just like, not even just what was going on screen, maybe just like it finally clicked. Like this is like what everything was leading to, and it just felt like, oh, this is what he's trying to do. This is what he's trying to say. This is what he wants me to see. And it truly makes it one of the best Spielberg movies of all time. Genuinely, I think it's a top 5 Spielberg movie. I'm not joking. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but this was it as I said in my initial review, I said in my Cool Kids review, I am saying it here. This is why he's the motherfucking GOAT. This is why Spielberg, this is why people will remember the name Spielberg for generations. It's because of movies like this. It's not just because of like the pantheon of his filmography that he has left us. It's because of movies like this. It's because of how he makes the experience of films a true experience. Now, are there flaws? Sure. I would say the CGI on the animals is a little wonky.
Notice that in the trailers, yeah.
Maybe a pacing issue here and there, but like maybe like a little bit, but then it was mainly the CGI animals and like maybe some like dumb character decisions. That's like, why did you do that? That doesn't make sense. But like that only happens like maybe 2, 3, maybe 4 times throughout the movie. But
Yeah.
for the most part, this was truly a transcendent, beautiful experience that left my jaw on the floor. It left me with no words. It left me being like, whenever we see like an older filmmaker come out with something new, whether that be Scorsese, whether that be Spielberg, whether that be someone else I can't think of right now, it's like, okay, motherfucker, what else you got?
Nolan?
You fucking 80-year-old motherfucker. What are you gonna give
Oh, I
me? And then
see.
it's like, oh,
Okay.
you just
Nolan's
dropped fucking cinema on me and didn't even try. And dumbasses don't even fucking understand it. Like, oh, shit. Okay, Spielberg is Spielberg. And you know what? 10 out of 10. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm not even hyperbolicing.
Okay.
Blah, 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 blah.
All of a sudden, now I want to see it more.
Yeah, this for me was a beautiful experience, especially by that third act where everything clicked, everything worked. I'm like, I was just like, yep, I'm gonna make an altar in my house to Spielberg after watching this movie, without a doubt. Yeah, always I didn't care for it. That's probably my least favorite Spielberg movie so far that I've seen. But yeah, Disclosure Day, top 5 Spielberg for me, top 5 of the year. I'm gonna say something that might be surprising to our audience, considering, you know, I am a big horror fan. I liked this more than Obsession. Yeah. The horror guy dethroned his favorite horror movie of the year. Down one. Yeah. That's how good Disclosure Day is.
Well, I wanted to kind of get into a little bit
Anyway,
of,
I gotta start eating my ice cream
I
again
just-
before it's fully
No.
melted.
Well, I wanted to mention a couple of things about like what you said, because Steven's again, I've been binging podcasts because he did a lot of podcast. We talked about it yesterday. He did a lot of like marketing work to, you know, get this movie out in front of a younger audience, because you know the older audience that knows Spielberg's works will go see one of his movies. But Right. Well, I'm sure if John wanted to, he could. But like he did a lot of podcasts because that's where a lot of the younger, you know, audiences, not just, you know, Gen Zers, but also a lot of younger millennials will listen to podcasts more than like be watching, you know, broadcast TV and see an ad for the movie. So, several things that you touched on. I wanted to kind of give you like some of the bits that I picked up from Steven Spielberg himself in some of those interviews. He was on Star Talk. He was on one of the New York Times podcasts I was listening to earlier, and he was talking about like his movie making process is not like a formula. He doesn't go into these, and he's like, he just sort of like, he does what he feels is best for the movie and like the best creative decision he makes in the moment as the movie goes on. He's like, if you ask me to write you a formula for how to make good movies, it's kind of hard for him to explain that because it feels so instinctual and so internalized to him. Because I mean, that's for every good filmmaker, that's what it is. Like, you know, it's like, if you're really good at what you do, oftentimes that's why like oftentimes the best people at what they do don't often make the best teachers, because to be able to take what works inside you and be able to turn it into something you can actually communicate to somebody else is, you know, a skill unto itself. But that's, I mean, obviously that's nothing to say about like, you know, that makes Spielberg any lesser of a filmmaker. If anything, it shows why he's one of the greats. The other thing you mentioned in one of those interviews was that, you know, David Koepp, who's worked with him in a lot of his movies over the years, as a screenwriter, when he initially wrote the script, it went through like, you know, over a dozen different drafts since, and one of the things that Spielberg mentioned was, as they brought on new cast members like Emily Blunt, like Colin Firth, like Coleman Domingo, and then, you know, even like you got Wyatt Russell in the movie, and, you know, others as well. He was like, all these actors kind of bring nuances and, you know, their own talents and ideas into the movie. So they kept on going back, and like Spielberg was like, maybe we can do something different here to like play into the strengths of, let's say, a Wyatt Russell or Emily Blunt and stuff. And so, you know, the movie making process is an ever evolving thing. It's like you keep remaking the movie, you know, as many times as you need it until it gets to the movie theater. And even then, for most filmmakers, you know, I've Ron Howard, Spielberg, they all talk about like, you know, you're never going to get that perfect movie. Or like Ron Howard likes to say, no matter how much you love your movie, no matter how much time you spend and how hard you work on a movie, you'll always find a way to, you know, end up, you know, breaking your heart, which is kind of like that whole thing of like filmmakers are always chasing the final version of that movie, but you just have to, like, you know, put out what you have at that point, at some point in time, and especially when it's a commercial film. But it clearly, it's like, you know, like you said, it's a lot of the ideas about what Steven Spielberg thinks about UFOs today. He's, you know, seems to believe that, yeah, all this stuff is real. There's plenty of evidence out there. And he said, like, this is kind of his mea culpa of, like, you know, where I am today with UFO films and like ufology that he mentioned, with there's enough evidence of Close Encounters of the Third Kind interviews and stuff, and what the, you know, the files that are coming out from the Pentagon, which I still don't believe in all that, but regardless of what we believe, clearly this movie is a reflection of what Steven Spielberg believes, which, like you said, makes it a very personal movie for him in a way that is very different from what was basically an autobiographical film in The Fabelmans, right?
Yeah.
That was more about him and his family, his sisters, his parents. This feels more like his set of ideas.
And most
that
people hate
spending a lifetime
1941. That's
making
fair,
these
but I
kind of
found it
movies.
to be so ridiculous that I enjoyed it.
But I mean, between Close Encounters of the Third Kind, between E.T. and now Disclosure Day, this is like Steven Spielberg's, like, this is what he's been building up to this whole time. And one of the things that he kept on saying in all those podcast appearances is the movie is about empathy and bringing people together and the world together, which, without having seen the movie, I'm going to, you know, just... I'm not going to get into spoiler territory, but, you know, John, would you agree that that message gets across over the course
Absolutely.
of the film? Like,
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, and then the other thing he was saying, Spielberg, was that he goes into these movies and he likes to make a movie experience that feels very immersive. And he said he mentioned that this movie kind of like hits the ground running, and then you just kind of are along for the ride. You got to pay attention. You can't be on your phone. You can't be distracted. You got to follow the story, and it keeps you engaged and immersed so you can get that emotional wall up at the end, which, for everything you just said, seems to me that it's the case that that's exactly, you know, what he ended up achieving, which is also great to hear, because again, it shows you the master at, you know, at work doing what he does best. And all of a sudden I'm actually more excited to go finally see it, because I had been putting it off because I was like, it's a little worrisome. But, you know, let's talk about that though, because not everybody going to see the movie has loved it as much as maybe you did, John. Hello, Enterprising. We've been good. We've been here talking Disclosure Day, Enterprising, but thank you for joining us. Of course, if you guys are watching, please do hit the like button. We really appreciate that. It does help us out a lot. But John, let's talk about the box office real quick, because we mentioned that yesterday it got off to a $93 million opening weekend worldwide. It was #1 in the US. It's #1 in several other territories. It was #3 in China. But John, if you can pull up the box office article for Disclosure Day, it looks like in the UK and Ireland, or as I sometimes like to call it, Ireland, you know, as it should be called, it opened at #1 there as well. So yeah, in the UK and Ireland, they love Disclosure Day just as much as the Americans. The question becomes, though, I mean, obviously Toy Story 5 is looming, and that's something that's going to lead me into this article. This is from, of course, the Wrap. Actually, this is from the Ankler. Yesterday we talked about something from the Wrap, another, you know, great industry source. But this, the Ankler, is a great series of newsletters from Substack that I subscribe to, and I think they do some great analysis work. Well, Figure Drawing, you know what? You better go check it out, because if John gave it a 10 out of 10. But here's the thing that this newsletter mentions, you know, it says that, and it's a really good point, because John, the one thing that Disclosure Day and Master of the Universe has in common is not just the fact that both of their audiences skewed older, but also that both movies got a B cinema score. And so I want to kind of read through this newsletter. It's not very long, a little, and then I just want to talk about a little bit about the box office and the reception, because for the people that loved it, great, but I'm just wondering, like, with this movie is going to end up being, financially a success ultimately for Universal, which, not that Universal won't let Spielberg make another movie again if one of his movies doesn't, make its money back. Like, it's no way in hell at this point, like after decades of working with him. But they do mention here in this article, with an audience that skewed older, 60% of the people that went to see Disclosure Day were over 35, and a middling B grade on CinemaScore from opening night audiences. The alien conspiracy thriller, with its reported $115 million budget and hefty marketing spend, has dark skies ahead. And according to Sean McNulty, who writes this newsletter and is a reputable box office analyst, he said that this movie needs to 3x its opening weekend, basically make 3 times the amount of money that it made an opening weekend, which was $93 million, to make any sense theatrically, which may be a leap. The opening for Spielberg's first traditional summer blockbuster since Minority Report, if you don't consider the BFG as something that was a summer movie, because it was an animated film, so maybe not the same thing in 2016, but it was above average for Sean, but Sean, like I think the Watcher was saying yesterday, Sean McNulty was saying there's a bit of a long way to go here. And later on in the article, he says, I know some people who really like Disclosure Day, like John, you being one of them. Not that you know Sean, but I'm just saying you really love the movie. But Sean also said, I probably have more people in my life who thought it was good but not amazing, or that it didn't quite live up to the marketing. Now, the other thing I was mentioning about Master of the Universe, that is basically at this point a flop for Amazon, even though they consider it a success for their metrics, which is fine. But if you just look at purely the box office, that movie dropped 71% in its second weekend at the box office. And I worry that with Toy Story 5 coming out next weekend, that Disclosure Day might have a similar drop off, because you look at it earlier, I mentioned Disclosure Day, 60% of its audience was over 35. From Master of the Universe, 57% of its opening weekend audience was over 35. So very similar numbers. They also both have a B cinema score. So people overall, they like it, but they don't love it. I think you have the Rotten Tomatoes page for the movie up, John. If you can put that up for a second, I want to compare that to what the popcorn meter says there as well. I mean, I love Minority Report. It's fantastic. I hate AI, artificial intelligence. But if you look at the popcorn meter real quick, and then we'll come back to this article, 72%, like 81% certified fresh tomato meter. The critics overall love it, 343 reviews, but with over 2,500 audience ratings, it's sitting at 72%. That pretty much lines up with the B cinema score. So that's the thing where I feel like now a bigger chunk of the audience that defines a success for the movie at the box office are Gen Zers. It does worry you if movies like this that appeal to an older crowd, especially because the one thing we've talked about over the years since the pandemic, less and less of the older generations have come back to movie going as a regular thing, versus younger people who tend to value experiences over like buying, I don't know, like things that they like to spend money on experiences, and going to a communal experience like movies is something Gen Z actually really loves. So it does make you wonder if more movies like this, have a viability at the box office, therefore because they will let Spielberg make one, but will they let the other, director who's maybe not, got the resume and pedigree of Spielberg make another one? Because that's what I worry about. And the other thing I was going to mention now, because you could tell me, because having seen the movie, I remember most of the marketing material for this didn't give away anything from the third act. That was something they really talked about early on. But I remember you not wanting to see the final trailer, because then that final trailer, they show you the alien, interacting with the younger Emily Blunt version of the character. They show you the spaceship breaking through the clouds. They show you a lot of the stuff, some of the key scenes in the ending sequence, which, in this article, they were, one of the guys was saying it was a little disappointing that, with CinemaCon, where they made this the big movie in the presentation outside of the Odyssey for Universal, that they maybe oversold it a little bit. And clearly when you talk about word of mouth, 72% popcorn meter and a B cinema score, are you worried for the movie in terms of its ability to make its money back? Considering
I think it'll make I think it'll break even, but I at this point it's probably not going to make a profit, which is a shame. But it's just I think it's just, we're at a point where it's just, because it's interesting how pretty much all the people that I know of that are Gen Z didn't really care for this movie. Most, not all of them, but most of them, because I feel like they just didn't get it. Like I hate to sound. I'm not just trying to say, oh, you're stupid. Yeah, I said, oh, you're dumbasses for not getting this movie. I don't think people are.
Oh, bless you.
I don't think people are dumbasses or anything like that. It's just like I think it just comes down to I'm trying to think of the right word here. Maybe understanding, I guess, but remember, it's okay if you don't understand a movie. It's okay if you don't.
Yeah.
But the thing is where it comes in is like they built, like, for instance, I'm gonna give you a good example. Lost Highway. I watched it. Fucking didn't understand any of the movie, but I can't deny how fucking well made that movie is.
Right.
Killers of the Flower Moon. Exceptionally well made for me personally. I thought the pacing was garbage. Thus,
it was like almost 4 hours long.
But I mean, I knew for a fact it needed to be that length, or else the movie wouldn't have worked. So for me personally, I thought the pacing was not very good and lowered essentially what was a 10 out of 10 movie down to like an 8 out of 10. But there's just like sometimes you just don't understand movies. I remember mentioning this in our Cool Kids review. I don't understand why people love The Shining. I don't fucking get it. I watched that movie. It bores me to tears. It is one of the most boring movies I've ever seen in my life. It is not scary. It is not enthralling. It's not interesting. I don't get it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I will just simply never understand why people like that movie. I don't get it. And that's fine. But it's okay if you don't understand a movie. Just don't immediately throw it in with like, oh, it's because the thing is, that's the problem with a lot of with Gen Z too. It's like, oh, it's the worst thing ever because I didn't understand it. It's like, no, I don't. Lost Highway, I didn't understand that. It is exceptionally well made. I feel like I need to rewatch it. I am intrigued with Lynch's world. I respect David Lynch so much as a filmmaker that I'm like, you know what? It's okay that I don't understand this movie. I can respect the fact it's well made. Shining is a different way because I don't think that that's a well-made movie. I think it looks pretty, but I just don't think, for me personally, Kubrick really hit on the themes he was trying to do. And personally, I don't think that's a well-made movie, but that's a whole different thing. I'm mainly talking about movies where it's like people look at it, it's like, I don't understand this movie, hence it's a bad movie. I don't think that's a healthy narrative to look at certain films where it's like, I personally didn't understand. Because I don't know if you know this user, Breakdowns and Blockbusters. He used to be called Bullets and Blockbusters. But he actually had a really good video about Siskel and Ebert. How, Roger Ebert went up to David Lynch and he's like, I don't understand Mulholland Drive, but I loved it because I thought it was exceptionally well made. So, it's one of those movies where it's just like, I think people are just so engrossed in the idea, the fact that they don't understand what Spielberg was going for, that they think it's a bad movie. And I think that's a little sad. I think that's a little bit sad. It's fine if you don't like it. I'm not shitting on people for disliking the movie. If you dislike the movie for actual, like, because I've seen people that are like, I didn't think it was well written. I thought it was this. I thought this was dumb. That's fine. And those people are right. But I have seen a lot of people that are like, I don't get it. It sucks. And I'm like, that's kind of saddening.
That's also like a narrative that's true for like a lot of other movies. I feel like some movies don't really hit you with the same.
And it feeds into.
It's all subjective.
And it feeds into this. It feeds into the idea that what you were just saying with Gen Z going to see these movies. This was clearly meant for older generations, boomers and Gen X mainly, much like Masters of the Universe.
I mean, we generalize a lot. I'm sure some Gen Zers probably like
and I'm not saying Gen Zers are stupid or anything, but look at the movie that's fucking killing it right now. Obsession. Great movie. Phenomenal movie. Top 3 of the year for me. Very simplistic plot. Guy makes a wish, it goes wrong. very simple. You could still talk about it and analyze it, but it is one of the most simplistic movies I've ever seen in my life. It just goes to show that simplistic movies also work. And meanwhile, go to the other side of the movie. Go to the other side of the horror spectrum in May. Back Rooms, very, very Lynchian, where it doesn't explain the movie to you, much slower paced, very thought-provoking, up in the air, ambiguous kind of movie. And I saw a lot of people that did not like that movie because of that. So I think there are a lot of Gen Z, people, not all of them. I'm not saying Gen Z is stupid. I am Gen Z. I'm smart, so all Gen Z can't be stupid, right? So there are plenty of smart Gen Z people. There are plenty of smart millennials and all that shit. It just, I feel like it goes to show, look at the movies that are minus Masters of the Universe, because that's just like right place, right time. I grew up with that, blah, 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 that kind of thing. I feel like with Disclosure Day, lesser extent Back Rooms, because it's still fucking doing really well. I think it's just the idea of like certain people not understanding these movies and then just going off the seat of their pants saying it's bad, and that's
right. But I mean, like, that's also just to kind of wrap things up. I think it's not just true about this movie. I think that has happened many times before. It's like there's other examples. I personally really love Interstellar. I think Tenet is also the movie that grows on you the more you watch it, because those movies don't really hold your hand with what's going on. And so if you're not familiar with some of the concepts, like, which are, admittedly not very intuitive to understand if you're just tackling them for the first time watching the films, you'll have a hard time kind of wrapping your head around it, and therefore the movie won't hit you the way that maybe the director intended for it to. But that, for me, in the case of Tenet, the more I watch it, the more I appreciate the detail in that movie, because it's like it's built like a machine, and because that's how time works. It's always ticking in one direction or the other, depending with the events of Tenet. And then with Interstellar, like, I really appreciate the science behind it because I'm very familiar with those concepts. But and so, like, for Disclosure Day, it seems something similar, where just because you didn't like it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but also everybody's entitled to their opinion. So I think, but that's why movies are subjective, as is every kind of art form.
I did want to mention this. Yeah. So what I was trying to talk about with the obstacles in other Spielberg alien movies, because my friend was talking, and I literally had to go back to the video because it would have fucking bugged me if I didn't get it right. So he was talking about how all three movies have three very important things, but one of them is a major obstacle for Close Encounters, E.T. and War of the Worlds, it involves family, the other, and government. That was the thing I was forgetting. So for Close Encounters, the obstacle is family. In E.T., the obstacle is government. And in War of the Worlds, the obstacle is the other. Where it's like War of the Worlds is the first Spielberg alien movie where the aliens are hostile. Like, when you really think about it,
which obviously based on the original story, it's
kind of interesting how that all came to be. But yeah, I think maybe some wonky CGI and all that. Yeah,
I mean, to Monique's point, that's the thing, though. Like, I was mentioning it earlier. Like, I think the box office will be affected by the fact, because it's got a middling cinema score with B, which is not very high, relative to, like, it could be A minus, A plus, or even B plus. And then the 72% popcorn meter. There are a lot of people, like Monique being one, for example, who aren't necessarily have been looking forward to this movie. So if you see middling reviews,
that's enterprising. I will say it's interesting how you say that. That's how it was for Interstellar for me personally. I feel like when you have fucking Matthew McConaughey going into a black hole and transcending time, and I'm like, okay, you're breaking my suspension of disbelief here. It's like it's like a rubber band, and now it's snapping.
But like, if you listen to like Kip Thorne talk about it, because the movie doesn't really explain it, but the idea was that that the black hole isn't really like the black, because we don't actually know what happens inside a black hole. Like, scientifically, we kind of have an idea, but we really don't truly know, because it's impossible to like figure it out experimentally, because like once you fall in beyond the event horizon, you're not coming back. But also at the same time, our scientific theories, that's like the limit of our understanding. So like they took a little bit of creative liberty there, and then the way Kip Thorne designed it was like once she falls into the black hole, they kind of went with the idea that it's more of like it's like a black hole is also some kind of a wormhole, which hello Johnny, which transports you into like it was a fifth dimensional matrix that the future humans had set up for Cooper to get his message back to his his daughter, and then
Yeah, fuck that.
from
I'm
there-
sorry. That's
but I'm saying
fucking
like
stupid to me.
I came across that explanation from Kip Thorne 2 years, no, not even 2, like 8 years after the movie came out. So, but like I understood what they were going for generally, because it's all about like because essentially Interstellar is kind of a closed loop time travel movie in a way, because the future humans are influencing past events through these extra dimensional ways, which maybe down however long into the future those humans were, they figured out that stuff. So there is different kinds of time travel involved in that, but it takes a closed loop time travel approach where essentially like Tenet, where everything has happened, will happen, and it's like ultimately it's a closed loop, so you're not really changing anything, therefore that's why you can travel into the past and not like create splitting universes and multiverse theory and all that. But anyway, I probably lost a bunch of people on that, and on that note I think we should wrap up our Disclosure Day conversation. It's a great movie, John. You gave it a 10 out of 10. I haven't seen it yet. Obviously, we have had some mixed reaction from you guys in the chat. I think Emo Nerd Girl is suggesting weather movies as a Mount Rushmore idea. We'll keep that in mind. There's plenty
Weather
of films
movies?
to pick from.
I don't
Maybe
know what
like
you mean.
disaster films.
Like
maybe we could do
like
that.
natural disasters. Is that what you mean?
That's
Like
probably
Day
a
After
better way to
Tomorrow,
phrase it,
Geostorm,
yeah.
that kind of thing.
We could just do a Roland Emmerich, Mount Rushmore at that point, because he's made literally every single kind of those ones. But anyway, all that being said, let us know what you guys thought about Disclosure Day, if you have seen it or not. And yeah, we'd love to hear from you. Of course, some of you guys already let us know. We'll see what the box office is going to do, and if it's going to be able to make its money back. I mean, it's on its way, but it's a struggle now, because there's plenty of big hits coming up soon. So I know there's some desensitization in recent years around UFOs. So that makes the impact of the movie less so than the 80s. But yeah, Disclosure Day. Steven Spielberg, John says it's Spielberg at his best, and so we'd love to hear from you in the comments. But yeah, hit the like button while you're here, because now we're moving on to John, the quick hits, and I'm gonna hit that music. There we go. Let's walk us through the quick hits, John. Let's do them real quick.
Sean Penn directing January 6th drama with Bradley Cooper starring as Capital Cop. Man, I can't wait for Bradley Cooper to also not get an Oscar for this movie.
Oh,
Next up,
by the way, real quick. Bradley Cooper's currently prepping his Ocean's 11, the new whatever version that he's working on. But also, this is at Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers acquiring this movie, so they're not making it, but they'll acquire it from a third-party production company. So Sean Penn gets to make something that I'm sure Paramount, the future owners of Warner Brothers, will really enjoy. But yes.
It's going to be stupid, and I can't wait to not see it. Anyway, DOJ's clearance of Paramount Warner Brothers merger surprise staff investigators. Okay.
Yeah, apparently they were going to recommend that the DOJ actually file a lawsuit, but then they got the news that no, we just let them through. So go figure. I guess even the DOJ wasn't on the same page.
Whoopsie daisies.
Yep.
Anyway, Backroom sends Hollywood running to Reddit for new ideas. Oof, that's probably not a good way to make a movie, but
I mean,
Hollywood learning the wrong lessons as always.
Well, it says there the old school forum that originated A24's Backrooms is embracing its role as an idea incubator where fandoms can grow organically. I will say though, in this article they mentioned that not every idea is going to hit, but like I was saying, like every Hollywood studio is going to chase the trend, and maybe a couple of them will get something good out of it, but a lot of them will probably get a lot of crap out of it, which is fine. It just gives a lot of people who haven't had those opportunities more opportunities, so good for those folks who will take advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah. I am Frank Gelda, filmmakers say now is the time for stop motion animation because it's the complete opposite of AI. More stop motion, always a good thing.
I mean, isn't Dynamic Duo kind of from a studio that does a combination of stop motion? And
they do like puppetry, CGI.
That's the kind of thing
stop motion. Bro. It's like how they do it
Mixed
is
media.
Like crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Love
anyway,
right
Toy Story versus Minions: The War Hollywood Wants. Oh boy, that's gonna be.
So this basically, there's been 3 previous summers where we have had a Toy Story movie and a Minions which includes a Despicable Me movies franchise come out within weeks of each other. We know that the Minions movie is expected to make 100 million on its opening weekend, and then Toy Story 5 is expected to make 160. So both movies could potentially be in the running for $1 billion, and of course Hollywood loves that because they want to make money. So it's the kind. I mean, I don't know if you want to call it a Minions story or a Toy Minions thing. It's not on the same weekend; they're 2 weeks apart, but they're going to be two of the biggest movies of the year. So I'm sure both Universal and Disney will love that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Next up, Michael J. Fox to voice lead role in Dragoons animated movie. They have tapped the Back to the Future star for the part of Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. Teach me how to Dougie. An overworked ordinary worker transformed into a mighty dragon ruling the skies. Sounds kind of typical, but could be fun, I guess.
Yeah. That's very Nerd Girl. But I'm looking forward to this. Anything with Michael J. Fox, I'd love to see it. Love to see more of him, hear more of him as a voice actor. Yeah. Supergirl is definitely stuck in the middle between those two animated movies. It's going to be interesting to see how well it does because of that.
Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey breaks BFI IMAX records with 28,000 tickets sold in the first 24 hours. But Dan, I thought this movie was going to flop because it has black people in it. That's what I thought. It has an Indian guy in it. It has a Mexican in it. That means it's terrible, right?
I mean, believe it or not, the Mediterranean civilizations of yesteryear were really diverse before Christianity and current monotheistic religions came in and brought a whole new brand of racism to the world. So
white Christians won't tell you that. So
you don't learn that.
But this is exciting. It shows, hey, people actually do want to see this movie. You fucking racist pricks. Anyway, speaking of Christopher Nolan. Speaking of racist prick, no, I'm just kidding. He's
whoa.
Sir President Christopher Nolan. The Odyssey has arrived at Universal Studios Hollywood. Apparently, guests riding the studio tour can now see one of the actual ships used in the upcoming film while learning more about the production through exclusive footage, filmmaker interview, behind the scenes insights. Yes, the Viking ship that's not at all a Greek ship, but hey, we won't talk about that.
Hey, it's life size. You can see they got it set up there. There's a
cool.
blue screen thing set up back there. I was like, I don't know if they didn't film it there. Obviously,
I think it would be funny. One of these days, Matt Damon should come up in full Odysseus garb and just be like, "Hey!" See what would happen.
Well, hey, if you go to Universal Studios Hollywood, you can go see the actual ship. Very impressive. Not as impressive as the ships they built for the Pirates movies, but still impressive. And
all right. We stroked Pirates movies yesterday. We're done with that, all right? Although, on the opposite end, Mandalorian and Grogu is on pace to become the lowest grossing live-action Star Wars film in history. Yeah, I could have told you that.
It might not even make his money back, John, because they spent 165 making it, 135 marketing it, 300 million all
in. It won't fail permanently, but it still brings a smile to my face.
It puts a lot more pressure on Starfighter to succeed next year because
hopefully
do it, then we'll for Star Wars. Yeah,
it is hopefully enough, but you know what it isn't. Mandalorian Grogu, kick rocks, bitch. Rocky Horror Picture Show sets 2027 run at Sphere as Wizard of Oz passes 400 million in sales. Goddamn, all for AI slopped Wizard of Oz. Okay, sure.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, the Rocky Horror Picture Show is going to be the next big one. They're going to probably do some conversion process like they did for the Wizard of Oz, which $400 million in sales. Bring me more of these movies, bring them back. It's a very immersive experience, and Rocky Horror Picture Show, guys.
Yeah,
you get a chance to see it.
A man can dream. A man can dream, Monique. Anyway, Amazon MGM picks up Jason Momoa action comedy. Shot. Anyway. Everybody.
This is great. I mean, look, Jason Momoa doing more things that are basically him playing himself in movies. I'm good with that.
I'm. You know what? If Jack Nicholson can be one of the most celebrated actors in fucking history by being a one-trick pony, you know what? Other people can as well. Fuck off.
Facts. Yeah, I hear you on that.
Anyway, Disney branded television changes name to Disney Kids and Family. Cool, don't care.
Well,
Kiki's
it
Delivery
makes sense because anyway, it's fine. Yeah.
Kiki's Delivery Service live action series set at BBC Studios,
Hey.
Kadokawa, and Wheel in Motion. Ooh, I don't like the sound of that. Ooh.
Hey, it's Kiki's Delivery Service in live action.
I love Kiki's Delivery Service. One of my favorite Ghibli movies. Don't fucking live action remake that shit, you pricks.
Yeah, it's not really
especially
needed,
not from
but-
BBC. Ew, gross.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of BBC, Peaky Blinders creator Stephen Knight says he couldn't have made show without the BBC, but it's not the place you go for the big bucks. Yeah,
Hey,
I
we
could have
talked
told you
about
that.
it. We
Have
talked
you
about it,
seen Doctor Who in the late 70s? Hello.
I mean, BBC, just because it's a publicly funded organization, they generally are not able to throw as much money at something as like a private studio or something like that, or especially like a bigger Hollywood studio. So I mean, this was just part of a hearing about the BBC, so he was talking to like a government authority, or maybe in the parliament even, when he was testifying about it, but as part of their recent investigation into some stuff at BBC. But anyway, yeah, Stephen Knight, he's also writing the new Bond movie, so yeah, busy man.
Indeed. Kurt Russell on why Taylor Sheridan shows connect with the silent majority. Whenever someone mentions the silent majority, I'm just like, press X to
Well, no, but like I think if you read more of what he said, what he kind of means is, look, like Taylor Sheridan. Some people are like, well, how do these Taylor Sheridan like shows, get so popular? Is because I think like sometimes people don't, like in Middle America especially, don't feel themselves as represented in like mainstream scripted television media, whether it's streaming or on broadcast or cable networks, and Taylor Sheridan shows are all about that part of the country. So they do address, when he says the silent majority, it's like that whole idea. There's surely, I mean, yeah, there's more people that live in big cities on the coastlines and like in Chicago and the Bay Area and stuff, but there's a huge chunk of the audience that doesn't get represented, like Tulsa King. You got the Yellowstone shows, you got the Madison, and Taylor Sheridan. There's a reason why Paramount Plus is the house that Taylor Sheridan built. Like those people are
Bruce
watching
Campbell
somewhere.
is definitely
so,
a one-trick pony. But
yeah.
who doesn't love Bruce Campbell?
Not that there's anything wrong with that, right? Well, let's not get political. It's not. That's the thing, Monique. Right? You're right. You'd be surprised. These Taylor Sheridan shows are not political. Like even the ones that have like military CIA stuff, like The Lioness, they don't get political, but they're just great shows. It's like and he's got this Western sensibility to all the shows that he does, which
It's just
is
like
something you don't
it
really
takes
see
place in the
done
Midwest, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's really, I enjoy
And there's
it.
a lot
I
of
enjoy
fucking
most
people
his
that live in
shows.
the Midwest, so
Yeah, that's what Kurt Russell means by the silent majority, which I think he's right about. I mean, he's not the first one to mention this either, but I think he's absolutely correct.
Because there's a whole part of this country that a lot of people forget about. It's like LA, New York, everybody else. Like that's kind of the vibe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we spread the whole continent,
and that's
from
not
Atlantic
correct.
to Pacific. Yeah. Well, not all of them.
There's
Brian,
a lot
but,
of
like,
soap opera
yes.
vibes, but anyway,
Definitely,
Mike
but, like,
Myers,
good
bro,
Western
really
always.
needs a check.
I watched this whole Verizon commercial, and I don't care for the product part. It's just fun to see they brought literally every single cast member they possibly, other than Will Ferrell.
Because Seth Green,
back to this.
Seth Green's still on Family Guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't need the money. But I will say that I don't know the actress. She hasn't been. I think she needs the money. Mike Myers needs
She's
the
doing
money.
it.
That's why he's doing Shrek 5. He needs that.
Well,
He
you got
needs that
Rob Lowe
DreamWorks
in there,
cash.
too.
And then Rob Lowe, he's doing okay. He's doing fine.
I mean, between Shrek, this, and then is he involved in the Spaceballs stuff? That's not him. Is that something else? But anyway, Mike Myers just making a big because I mean he left Hollywood for a long time. So yeah. Let's keep. It's just fun. If you enjoyed the Austin Powers movies, then this was a fun little ad. I mean, again, it's more of a branded Verizon thing, but yeah, it's fun.
$1 million. And then finally, the power of family popcorn bucket.
Popcorn. It's gonna totally change Han's snacking routine because he can
Just hope. I hope that popcorn isn't rotten.
You don't turn your back on family.
I mean, even Dom did turn his back on his family for that, like one half of one of the movies where he went. I think it was
The
Fast
fate
8,
of the family.
Fate of the Furious.
I call it fate of the family because family.
Cool, family.
I will say the Dodge Charger does look pretty fucking cool.
I like it.
You can barely fit
and
any
that fits
popcorn in it, but
But you know what? Honestly, that fits just the amount of popcorn I actually get through if I get a large bucket. I can never go through the whole bucket, so I feel like that's the right amount.
Why not get the regular, Dan? Why waste the money on it?
Because they force it onto you. It's a free upgrade, and all of these come with the free Big Tin. Like, you can't tell them, no, fill it halfway. They'll just give you the shit all filled up. So I'm like, am I going to go dump it out? I'm like, at least I'll try to make an effort to go through it. So I don't know. But hey, you know what? If you guys want to go see, go get it. Like, this is some of the merch is clearly being reused from Fast X, like the popcorn tin, but they're re-releasing the original movie for its 25th anniversary in a few weeks' time. So that's, go see it as part of that. I think it's happening in August. So anyway,
a Point Break ripoff that spawned a franchise.
Spawned a whole franchise. I mean, who gives a shit about Point Break? They didn't make 11 of those. They did make 11 of these.
Yeah, but the difference, you want to know the difference between Point Break and Fast and Furious? Point Break is actually good.
You know what the difference is? Fast Break made a shit ton more. Fast and Furious made a shit ton more.
Okay,
on that
cool.
note,
you know what?
Time to get blessed.
Guess what?
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
I'm gonna get my point in. You know what? Fucking Fast and Furious doesn't have female representation in terms of directors because Catherine Bigelow directed Point Break. Suck a dick.
It's another project that's been.
That's one movie versus like 11 of them. Well, you know what? Fair.
One movie.
Not a single
versus,
one was directed by a female
11
director.
out of 11
Fair.
movies that were directed by men.
Okay.
Get the fuck. Liz would be on my side.
All
if
right,
she
you
were
know
here.
It's fine. I'm not. But you're comparing one movie to a whole franchise, John. But you know what?
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see.
Right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in the stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all in the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka.
All right, welcome on into another episode of DCU Daily. Of course, we got some stuff to get into from a lot of Supergirl stuff, some Lobo stuff. We'll talk about what did Gunn say. He shared something new from the set of Man of Tomorrow. Of course, we have to talk about more of the Batman Part 2. Maybe we missed something in that set photo that Matt Reeves shared yesterday. There's some theories going around, so we'll get into that. Welcome on in. Of course, we got Enterprising watching. We got Emo Nerd Girl here. Monique, of course, still in the chat. Everybody else, Figure Drawing and all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, after DCU Daily, we also have coming up later Tier List Tuesday, which you guys voted for. The topic, the winning topic, is YouTuber made horror movies. So just want to put that out there. So do stick around for that. And I wanted to point out that in the live chat, I believe earlier we threw up the link to Fancast Friday's poll, which is up now. So you guys want to vote for the Fancast Friday topic, you can do that. So with that housekeeping out of the way, Hunter Iggy, hello. Have you heard or saw the director of Deathstroke and Bane? Did they make an announcement for Deathstroke? And I know they were talking about somebody is in talks. Greg Mottola. That's I mean, but that news came out in May. So Greg Mottola is rumored, and he was circling the project. He also directed some episodes of Peacemaker season 2. So he's very much in the DC Studios family. But I don't think it's confirmed. So to address your question, Hunter Iggy, I haven't seen any updates on that since it's been a month now since that came out from Deadline. And I know that I think it was like Jeff Snyder mentioned there was another name as well who was circling. So it might not even be Greg Mottola ultimately gets the job. But yeah, we'll see where that ends up. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that here. But joining me today, of course, as always, for DCU Daily, we got John, who's still working on his ice cream. John, what are you excited
No, I finished it. I cleaned it. That's where I was.
Okay.
I cleaned it. So now, Cousins Together.
Nice. Was that ice
Hey.
cream or was that soda like that other one?
This was a Blizzard. This was the DQ Blizzard.
Blizzard. I could really go for a Blizzard right now, man. It's like a little liquid ice cream. Maybe I'll just stick with what I have in the freezer. But anyway, John, as we usually do, let's get through some DC quick hits first. So you can walk us through that. There was actually something very specific to start off. I mentioned just a moment ago. Remember that photo that Matt Reeves shared from the set yesterday?
Yes.
There might be more to it than we thought because
Was that the one with the
comic
dead
book
body, or
got
was that
shared.
another one?
No. It's the one with the clock, with the time that showed 8:20.
Oh,
12 a.m. So if you go into this article, they do kind of talk about maybe that was a hint at something potentially.
like,
for the villain
Batman
of the
number
movie.
812 is where he fights this person.
Exactly. So I think
Yeah.
it's their yeah. You predicted it, John. So you want to walk us through the hints and all
So,
that?
this was the picture to,
Yeah.
give us something. Some believe that the time might be a nod to Detective Comics issue number 812, which was part of the City of Crime arc. This story focused on Batman taking on a drug ring and investigating the misappropriation of funds of the Gotham Waterfront project. Wow, so exciting. However, the more popular theories points to 812 being a reference to Batman issues 8 through 12 from Scott Snyder's acclaimed run, which saw the Caped Crusader face off against the Court of Owls. Yeah, I think that's what that means instead, rather than
You think it's a reach, or do you think that
misappropriation
Matt
of
Reeves-
fucking water
Yes, we
funds.
are
Like,
on
get
2G.
out of here. Nobody wants to see that. That's like you know what that's like, Dan? That's like putting a lot of like unnecessary political conferences in Star Wars. George
Well,
Lucas.
so that's how democracy dies in something applause. I forget the rest of the line. Anyway,
And that's how liberty dies, with
Yeah,
thunderous applause.
thunderous applause. I mean, you look, even of all the shit that we got in that prequel trilogy, George Lucas got a couple of things right. But let's move on to the next quick hit, because I mean, we'll leave that theory there. I think there's been plenty of hints, and there was literally a Court of Owls reference like in the first movies. I'm like, at this point, it's been in front of us for like 5 years, right in front of us. Speaking of being in front of us, John, there is another Batman movie that is coming out this year, but maybe not the one that you're thinking about. I think Batman
Nightfall.
Yeah, and
Yes.
is it meant to be like a part of a trilogy? That this
Yes,
is like part
it is.
one?
Because I mean, I actually have them. I'm not going to get them off my shelf, but it's Nightfall. That's where the whole thing with Bane, and then I
Breaks
think
his back.
Night
Right.
something is when Jean Paul Valley becomes Batman, and then Night's End is when Batman has to clean up his mess because Jean Paul Valley's fucking insane. So
Who's Azrael, right? That's the
Azrael.
he's-
Well, he becomes Azrael later
Azrael.
on, but
so it's
you know.
Nightfall, Night Quest, and Night's End. I think
Knight's
those are the
Quest.
three.
That's what it was. I could never remember the second one.
Yeah, which is
Yeah, I hope
which
it's
is
good.
exciting. This is coming from Warner Brothers Animation. The newly rebooted Warner Brothers
Yeah,
Animation. So
Hopefully it's actually good, unlike another Batman
Yeah.
project coming out this year, like Batman Cape Crusader. Gross.
yeah. Well, what are you gonna do? let's
I mean,
keep it
here they
moving.
finally have Tim Drake as Robin. Let's go.
Hey Nelson, how you doing, man? All right, let's keep going. We got something from Lobo to talk about. This is something again part of the
Yes.
Supergirl promotional stuff that they've been doing. So Jason Momoa like doing the whole like touch me one more time, show you who I am, and then he's like I dare you, and then he just turns into like the biggest puppy. Oh, I'm Jason Momoa. I'm in Supergirl, and he just walks away. I'm like I think Liz would have appreciated this. This is probably from that social media promotion day when everybody showed up. They had like the Screech alien in the background who's like
Mhm.
an animatronic thing. But you know what, John? From that, we go to probably the hottest quick hit of the day, DC or otherwise, because we know, I think it's
All
Ali
right, try.
Carvalho.
Don't keep it in your
Um,
pants now. Just goddamn.
I'm just telling it how I see it, man. It's like you look at those photos and she cosplayed as Green Lantern back in the day. Kind of,
Yeah, this was from
last
last year, and people were like, "Hey, were you cast at that point?" She's like, "Yep, I was." Just a little,
she was giving us hints.
just
Hey,
a little
Justin,
hint
thank
for
you,
you
guys. Thank you
guys.
for the
But
super
yeah,
chat.
I think that's cool. Good for her.
But I think, John, it's
I
worth
mean-
asking a question, though. It's like, do you think she can actually transition to playing the character in live action? Not that the My Adventures with Green Lantern is going to be canon to the DCU, but
Right.
James Gunn has been open to bringing like a voice actor into the live action.
I mean, Meg
universe,
Donnelly
and
was on the short
she
list to be
looks the part.
Supergirl. So, you know, and she played the voice in an entirely separate continuity. So that, you know, it's definitely up there. It's just, here's the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I do have a point here. Like, I'm not trying to be funny or anything. In a time where representation is very, very important, I will say this. I would prefer if we get Jessica Cruz, the first live action Jessica Cruz, to be played by a Hispanic woman. Now, I know that like Hawaiian is like, it's not exactly white, but it's not exactly brown.
No,
It's like,
but
Hawaiian's like kind of an in-between, but like,
no, John. But here's the thing. I know she's not Mexican, of Mexican descent, but between her parentage, both mom and dad's side, she's got a mix of Chinese, Native Hawaiian, Puerto Rican, Portuguese, and Irish descent. So I'm like, look, it's like I get that, but I'm like, I feel like that wouldn't be all that far off the mark. We have certainly seen a lot worse, and I'm not, and you know, by all means, I don't think you have to go exclusively looking for like a Mexican actress per se. You can, go to the casting process.
I'm just saying like
she would be a pretty good fit. And
yeah,
actually, you
but
shouldn't
I don't,
disqualify
here's the
her
thing.
on that.
I don't
alone,
want
you
a
know what
pretty
I mean?
good fit. I want
Yeah.
a great fit.
I don't know, John, what you're looking at, but that right there looks like she's a great fit for her playing a live action Green Lantern. Although I have a pretty good feeling that won't be her costume if she plays a live action Jessica Cruz, but I'm pretty sure that will be used quite a lot for marketing or, you know, social media conversations if she does end up.
But yeah,
DCU.
I just,
So,
you
yeah.
know, I'm sure she will play the role very well in My Adventures with Green Lantern if that gets, well, first My Adventures with Superman, because that's
Right.
where she is playing the character. We don't know if like Green Lantern is gonna get, you know, greenlit, but we'll see. I hope.
I would love to
but-
see her, like, you know, let's say Lanterns go for more than one season, because we've talked about like somebody already boarding as a showrunner for season 2. If this goes really well and if they are introducing other Lanterns, then maybe we can get a Jessica Cruz in the DCU as
Yeah,
part of the Lanterns
maybe.
for season 2.
And this, well, the thing is, if we're getting Parallax, Hal Jordan, he dies and becomes Parallax, then Kyle Rayner technically would be the next one, but you know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Thank you
although
for
I
that.
heard Aloha was very bad, and you're like, oh yeah, Emma Stone's definitely playing a Hawaiian. It's like, yeah, okay, sure, Jan.
Okay. All right. On that note, we're done with the quick hits. Let's move on to what did Gunn say, John? The ring a ding ding ding. This is actually just final draft. You know, they make the software for screenwriting. They kind of took the speech that James Gunn did, the graduation speech, the commencement ceremony at University of Missouri, where his alma mater, and they kind of boiled it down to like basically James Gunn's 4 rules of success, which I think if you want to kind of go through real quick, I think it's really valuable information that applies no matter what profession or what walk of life you're a part of. You know what, actually, Nelson, for the Fancast Friday poll that is up right now on the channel, DCU Jessica Cruz is an option. So if you want, you could go and vote for that for Fancast Friday. But John, what are the 4 rules of success for James Gunn that he enlightened us with?
Finish what you started. You can never be successful if you don't finish whatever task you set out to do. We all try to sabotage ourselves, and we can all stop. We all want to stop when things get hard. Don't follow your dreams. Don't chase something. Be it. Challenge yourself. Learn. Get better. Find goals that are difficult to achieve, but truly examine and be honest with yourself about what your skills are, about how you can be of use to your fellow human beings so that you're setting yourself up for the best possible outcome. Nice.
I agree with that 100%.
Be of service. I'm a guy who tells stories. I make movies, but I hope when someone goes with a loved one to see one of my films in the theater that they love the person a little more when walking out than they did when they were walking in. Know that obstacles are opportunities, accept that adversity is the nature of life itself and a component of nearly any action we take. It makes things easier, and if we can see this adversity, these obstacles as opportunities to find a more creative path or to learn about ourselves and life, will truly open up for us in ways we've never imagined.
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing I took away from all of these, for lessons for life and stuff, I think the biggest thing James Gunn mentioned is like when he said like don't chase your dreams, what he meant was go after like what you like, obviously have dreams, but also like try to figure out what you're really good at, because it gonna goes into the B of service, and it's also like you will feel this sense of gratitude that when you do something that you're good at, which then obviously you'll be successful at it and hopefully you enjoy it, and you'll be of service to others and be a part of society. And I think that was part of him like kind of becoming accepting of the fact that I am perfect. I'm great as I am, and I don't need to seek others' approval, which is something he talked about he used to do growing up. And he wanted to be famous when he first started making movies, but I think he realized that was the wrong way to go about it. He's like, I started doing what I was really good at, and when he went through that low point between getting fired by Marvel, getting hired by DC, and then rehired by Marvel, he realized the people that were around him, were really, they saw him for who he was, they accepted him and loved him for who he was. So I think that he enjoyed that quite a bit. Hello, Dark Elite Eric. Welcome on into the show. We did multiple Robin fan castings before, Nelson, but yeah, no, absolutely. I think Timothée Chalamet could be an option.
No.
And yes, right now Georgie is hunting for a bug, and thank you, Monique, for your well wishes. She seems to have walked away, so I don't know where the bug. The funny thing is I can't see the bug. She's just like meowing at something off to the side. But anyway, John, there is one more thing that Gunn said, or specifically what he posted on his Instagram account today, which I thought was really interesting. Turns out the Man of Tomorrow cast has been playing, their own version of bingo that the script supervisor came up with. And let's take a look. They got an Exodus bingo going. I saw and you know what? Like if you click the image, no, George, if you click the image, he actually tagged some of the crew members who actually apparently probably checked some of the boxes in the bingo, and I kind of clicked through and saw like it includes like an art director, and like it includes Nicholas Hoult actually checked off one of the boxes. This is really great. Short cape, that's probably for like when they do the CGI replacement of the cape. It looks like that's not been checked yet. Oh yeah, I know, Monique, I'm not holding out hope for it. Hopefully it's not anything that big that she brings it to me. But yeah, enterprising, yeah, keep on keeping on, man. Don't give up on your dreams. Well, keep doing what you love to do. But this is fun, John. What do you think about this bingo card? Dog on set. I don't know if that one was checked off yet. Cam is wearing a branded tee. James is Clint Eastwood. Apparently the one where James Gunn pronounces somebody's name wrong hasn't happened yet. Actor needs a break from costume or stunt rig. That's the one that Nicholas Hoult already checked off, which I totally understand, because like he's wearing the whole Lex super suit. Try this gross soda, that hasn't happened yet. The previous is wrong. These are all like great movie things, like
I mean technically none of them are checked off, but
no, what he did is he actually tagged. If you click the tag button in the bottom left, you'll see the hovering names, like not the bottom left right there. This is like John being a Gen Zer who doesn't know how to use Instagram. But that's
no, fine. I don't have an
oh, you don't have
Instagram, so it doesn't show up.
But basically, if you are on Instagram on the app, you click the image or you tap on the image, it shows the tagged people over. So he tagged the people who have checked off some of the boxes. That's what I was going through right now. Someone's sleep score is under 70. I mean, that happens a lot for people when they're working 12, 14-hour days on set, possibly longer. James calls someone by the wrong name. I mentioned that hasn't happened yet. But Lars' joke falls flat has happened. So it looks like Lars Edinger has told at least one joke that fell flat. Camera in frame. I'm sure that happens all the time. This was just fun. I mean, like, we should do one of these bingo. We should make that a thing for the channel. We should do like our own bingo.
The free space should be John goes on a rant about Tom King.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, John goes on a rant about Tom King. John says, fuck Tom King. John calls David Ellison a chode with lips. Liz talks about Jake Gyllenhaal as being her Roman Empire.
Liz is a hypocrite by talking about how sexy men are, but somehow hates all men at the same time.
I know.
So it's like, well.
It's a good question. I don't know what they win if they win the bingo. Maybe they just get a hug from James Gunn. Maybe that's what it is. We'll have to figure out what we.
Well, you can't do that on set because John Lasseter hugged people, and then he was called a sex pest and was fired from Pixar. So
reportedly.
Remember, the entirety of German history channeled all of their humor into Flula Borg, and that's it. He is the only funny German to have ever lived.
Fair enough. All right. Well, that's all the what did Gunn say we got, John, because now we got to talk about the summer Supergirl for the rest of the show. We got some time to go here. We get through all of this stuff, and then we got to get to talking about, of course, Tier List Tuesday. But they did release a bunch of stuff. They released a new IMAX featurette. Actually, for the first, I don't know if you can pause on there's a shot here where they show Argo City in space for the first time I've seen it in any of the promotions for this entire movie. And it's kind of a little shot that gets away from you real quick because they're talking about how they have shot this movie for IMAX, with IMAX approved cameras, not actual IMAX cameras like the Odyssey. But obviously you'll be able to see the extended aspect ratio in IMAX if you go to see the film. It's funny because this entire featurette is not in the IMAX format, but you do see it. And I wanted to kind of go through the Argo City shot because it's very interesting. It kind of fits the aesthetic of the rest of the movie, obviously, so it doesn't stand out too much. But there it is, right there, John. If you could zoom into this or to go full screen. So that is Argo City. That is
Argo. Fuck yourself. Point if you get the reference.
I mean, John, this is again hidden in this like random IMAX featurette. But holy cow, it is actually now officially confirmed. We do get Argo City. We do get it in space. Thank you, Movie Spud, and welcome back, Pacerland. He got his Thursday tickets already. Yeah, did you guys get your tickets? Let us know in the comments and hit the like button while you're watching. But John, your thoughts? Because this is confirmation now that was Argo City that we see in all the trailers.
Yep.
And
I mean, I've told you that 10 times, but like,
no,
sure.
but fair. But like, also the point I was making is the scene where her father like sends her off into in that spaceship toward Earth. That was with all that force field stuff going on. Remember I said that they were kind of throwing us off with like when Argo City gets pulled out of Krypton to when Supergirl gets sent away to Earth. They were mixing all that footage together because they're trying to make you believe that is all happening in the same sequence. But that would like skip over the whole idea of that she's living alongside, all these other Kryptonians who are dying from poisoning essentially. And this to me is kind of confirmation that those two events will be shown separately. Because it feels like that once that force field goes up, it's always going to be this pulsating thing. So the fact that when it's first going up, they use that footage alongside when it's probably already been up, and that Supergirl is being sent away. I mean, I don't know, John. Am I making sense? Because I feel like we're gonna get that aspect of the Woman of Tomorrow comic adapted for the movie, which I think is fantastic.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think it'll underperform. I don't think it will.
I mean, like I said, underperform it depends on what your expectations are, and I think 300 to 400 million is probably what they're gonna be okay with on this. And even if it does underperform, then like I said, this movie is still early enough in the DCU that what matters more is how well it does with the audiences and with critics in terms of the reception, more so than the box office. So I fully think that this movie, like even if it makes a couple $100 million and really doesn't make back or just breaks even, the critical and audience reception is going to be more important than the box office itself. MTG saying, did you see DC or rather Warner Brothers release a Supergirl official theme? Yes, we're going to get to that. We're getting to that. Don't you worry. It's coming up. We're not ranking theme songs because nobody voted for that, but as an option for Tier List Tuesday. But yes, I will talk about it when we get to it. But anyway, let's keep going. John, we got more to get into. There was a new Lobo focus promo that they put out as well, with a little bit of behind the scenes as well. Again, Jason Momoa talking about his love for the character. Yeah, the theme they released was like the Supergirl theme specifically. But yeah, I mean, dude, like Lobo is apparently he's an immortal, which is they addressed that in the movie. Apparently Supergirl calls him like, this is Lobo, he's immortal. And then you get to see again Jason Momoa in the makeup and Craig Gillespie talking about it. I would say, I know that we're still got the Lobos movie director as a Fancast Friday option. I'm willing to bet that if they don't make a Supergirl sequel, they probably will make a Lobo movie eventually. And I would imagine that Craig Gillespie could be an early shoo-in because he's already worked with him on set before playing Lobo, so he probably understands the character fairly well. So I don't know, John, what do you think? Getting a lot more Lobo, and Lobo literally kind of monologues about what he loves, like riding my space hog, using my got hook, and yeah, it's just Jason Momoa just literally being himself and breaking the fourth wall. John, he's clearly breaking the fourth wall, so we're getting all the things that we expect from Lobo. Your thoughts?
Yeah. Awesome. Lobo is, in fact, I also finished that Lobo script that I have access to, and it was actually pretty good.
Nice.
Actually pretty good.
Nice. Awesome. All right. Well, no, I love it. Love to see it. And now, in addition to these new promos and teasers and behind the scenes featurettes, John, there was a new Craig Gillespie interview that he did with the playlist as part of the promotion for the movie. And here, this is the part from the thumbnail and from the title of today's show. Craig Gillespie talked about, the future of this particular part of the franchise. Like, is he gonna want to do a sequel if they get a green light for a Supergirl 2? So I just want to go through this interview real quick because I think there were some important things he pointed out here. The first being that he confirmed that, I mean, obviously we knew this, that Supergirl was already cast before he signed up for the movie, but once James Gunn sent him the script, which he actually thought came out of nowhere for him, but once he decided that he wanted to do this movie, he learned that obviously Millie Alcock was going to be the Supergirl that he would have to work with. He was like, look, I was really, really fortunate to have her in the role, because he kind of saw this scrappiness and humor and this accessibility in Millie's performance in House of the Dragon season 1, and he was like, this is the independent spirit that I loved about her, and it fits so perfectly with Supergirl. So then, knowing that Millie was on board, he went to James Gunn and Peter Safran and he pitched himself as being the right choice as the director and the kind of movie that he wanted to make, and he wanted to lean into that that aspect of Millie Alcock's performance, that that scrappiness, that humor, the imperfect aspect of her character that she played in House of the Dragon. And so this is what he said. I also pitched that I don't think we should see her as in a superhero outfit till as late as possible in the movie because of the emotional journey that she's on, and when she's ready to actually wear it, he said that James Gunn and Peter Safran amazingly embraced all of that, which is something that Millie Alcock has said in one of her promotional interviews, that don't expect her to be wearing the Supergirl costume for the majority of the movie. In fact, the shots we get from the film seem like they all happen most likely in the third act of the movie. So just setting the expectations up front, you go to see Supergirl. I know some people kind of complain, like in Batman Begins, you don't get to see Batman in the costume until pretty late in the film, but it does seem like this is going to be similar situation where, because Kara is a very reluctant superhero, like Craig Gillespie said, so it's up until she actually feels like she has understood and worked through her own trauma that she will embrace the role of Supergirl. And also he talked about how Kara sees Eve Ridley's character, Ruthie, as somebody who's kind of going through something similar to what she went through, because remember, John, James Gunn mentioned it was a 14-year-old Kara that was sent away from Argo City to Earth. So Superman has known her at this point for 9 years because she's celebrating turning 23 years old in the movie, which we got in like the first trailer. She said 23, best year yet. And so Gillespie was saying Kara begins to recognize that she has not dealt with all that trauma within herself, but then she realizes it's almost like holding a mirror up to herself, looking at Ruthie. So Kara understands that the trauma that she's been through, and so she can relate to that, and that's why she goes on this quest to help Ruthie out. And then obviously we see crypto is another big motivation in the whole thing. And then he was asked about, would you want to do a Supergirl 2? And he was like, look, yeah, obviously I'd love to work with Millie again. I love creating this character with her. We'll see what happens. So he's totally open to it, but he just said we'll see what happens. So he's leaving it open-ended because obviously we don't know if this is going to happen or not. The other thing I want to mention, John, this is a big one. So we have talked about how this movie's not colorful. It feels like, it's a lot of grays and stuff. Although I feel like the recent promotional stuff has kind of helped to show that it is plenty colorful. It's just that whole movie won't be colorful, but the graphic novel that is based on Woman of Tomorrow is very colorful and it has a very specific, tone and look to it. So Craig Gillespie talked about that in this interview. He was saying, look, he went to James Gunn and said, how much do you want this movie to be in your universe? Meaning, like, how much do you want it to fit in the aesthetic of your universe, James? And James Gunn answered to Craig Gillespie saying, honestly, like, it was surprising to Craig Gillespie that Gunn said, not at all. Like, this is like approaching each of these movies like their own graphic novel. A graphic novel is so distinctive to that writer, that illustrator. This is your graphic novel, is what James Gunn told Craig Gillespie. So then that kind of allowed Craig Gillespie to kind of have the freedom to do what he wanted to do. Obviously, there's some elements here that kind of tie it into Superman's aesthetic, because you see the Fortress of Solitude, you see Superman in the film. The costume is very similar to Superman's costume. But other than that, this is a cosmic tale, John. So I kind of feel like him saying this, Craig Gillespie, kind of sounds like James Wan, like making that Aquaman movie, speaking of Jason Momoa. And that felt so different from what Snyder had done up until that point, but they just ran with it. I don't think this will be as different in terms of the aesthetics. They're not going to change the costume and the look of the characters. But obviously, Craig Gillespie got a chance to kind of do his take on the character. What do you think about all of that stuff that I just mentioned? Because I think Craig Gillespie, again, just getting you to talk about, like, he got to have a lot of freedom as the director.
Yeah,
and he's.
I know nobody's gonna believe that, because they're like, "Oh, fucking James Gunn ghost directed because it's exactly like Guardians of the Galaxy." I know that's what they're gonna say, but
yeah,
I don't think that. I mean, the only thing is, like, it takes place in space, and she has a Walkman. That's literally it. That's like the only two.
Yeah,
and she has a trench
very
coat.
superficial comparisons, right?
Yeah.
And that was even just the first Guardians movie, for that matter. Right? Like, there are two more after that, everybody. So, like, don't forget. There's when you look at it all. No, I get but like, that's the thing about, like, being different but connected is exactly what the MCU was too. Like, the idea here is that you can watch each project, and over time that will be less and less true, because eventually the continuity, like I said earlier, like Toy Story 5, I was saying, it's like it's plaque that builds up in your arteries. Eventually, you have to carry a bit of that weight with you, because the idea that you never have to do a homework to watch a certain project in the cinematic universe, by virtue of things being connected, eventually you'll need to understand some things that came before to understand what's happening now. But in the early years of the cinematic universe, you have a lot more room to sort of do things that stand on their own. Like, the idea is that Supergirl, you can watch it again, really have fun with it, but you don't need to have seen Superman to understand it, because they will give you whatever context you need to understand the Superman cameo within the movie itself. So in that sense, it's more like Star Wars and Marvel. Like, you don't, like, the episodic movies obviously connect to each other, but like, you can watch Rogue One, and it's a wonderful movie. It sets up the original Star Wars movie at the end, but you don't need to watch the original Star Wars movie to understand Rogue One, or vice versa, right? I think that's more what James Gunn is aiming for, in a sense. The other thing I wanted to mention real quick, John, Craig Gillespie's got a full calendar of projects coming up, because when he was asked about what are you working on next, if not Supergirl 2, which he said we'll see what happens, he's working on a Apple TV show with Julia Garner, which I think it's the Guilty Creatures show that's coming up. That looks exciting. I mean, obviously he's worked with her before on, I think, Ozark, was it? He's also working on a TV project with Tony McNamara, who's the Oscar-nominated writer behind Poor Things and The Favorite. And he also co-wrote with Craig Gillespie Cruella. So it looks like they're still working on a Cruella sequel as well over at Disney. So he said that's still in development. It's still possible. It's on the table. And you know what? On top of all that, the most interesting thing Craig Gillespie is currently working on is a project with Glenn Powell. So he didn't really tell us what it is, but apparently Greg Gillespie is working on something with Glenn Powell. He's got one TV show at Apple. He's got a movie, potentially Cruella 2 at Disney. And he's got yet another TV show with the same writer he co-wrote Cruella with. So he's a busy man. So, I mean, whether he wants to do Supergirl or not, or Supergirl 2 or not, or even the Lobo movie, I don't know if he's going to have the time, because he's got a lot of things going on. A lot of things. So, director in demand. So I think that's good that they've been able to lock him down to do this, because he might be off doing 5 other things after this. I mean, we hear you, Chimera, but it's still early days though. Like, it's super early days. I think it's too early to judge the DCU for its connectivity or lack thereof. I feel like we should just Let it play out a bit more. This will only be the second movie in the franchise, Supergirl. So, like, I think it's too early. Like, it's like saying, oh, you watched Iron Man, then you watched The Incredible Hulk, and there wasn't enough crossover between them, so it feels disjointed. I mean, there's 2 movies, you know? I know they've done a couple of TV shows, but clearly, like, the idea is these things all exist in the same continuity. They'll have limited crossover, and then down the road, they'll do something bigger. But, like, it's been 3 or 4 projects, like Eric said, so... We shouldn't like judge it just yet. I think 5 years from now we can have this conversation, but it's too early right now. But you know what? It's not too early for John. Is all the marketing for Supergirl. So let's speed run through that so we can get to Tier List Tuesday, because the marketing is strong right now. Supergirl, we're in the final throes of it.
We got Pinkberry, frozen yogurt. I got the ice cream one, but
this looks nice.
I don't have a Pinkberry near me anymore.
Pinkberry swirl. This looks. I actually want to have that. I think frozen yogurt, that looks delicious to me. So
sure,
yeah, I'd love to try that.
Then we got a crypto backpack. It's backpack.
Backpack.
Yep. Cool.
Lounge
Great.
Fly.
I wouldn't get that.
Cute.
Sorry.
There's actually one more. Go back again. The Instagram carousel. If you hit the
there, it is. It didn't show up for a second. Yeah, that looks cool too.
Yep. Nice. Love it. I like the crypto face one more than the other one, but
yeah,
nice.
This, which looks like a kind of tracksuit kind of
Super
thing.
X apparel. They did a collab with Superman too. So yeah, if you go through the photos here, you can get. I mean, I think they're making for men and women and kids.
Or we could just stay on this one. I think this is showcasing.
If you want to, John, but we can
the proper,
I'd rather keep
vibe here, but
I'd rather. I mean, it definitely form fitting. Yeah, there you go. Could wear that.
Yeah. Let's just stay here. Let's just admire.
Sure, John, if you want to, but let's. I'd rather we keep moving along.
Just
trust me, John. It gets better. Trust me, John.
just for a second. And then a hot girl. I don't know what the fuck this is.
It looks like a Barbie font, hot girl walk. So if they're doing a collab with Supergirl, I don't know if this is like a.
I don't know what the fuck this is, but walking. That's fun.
Walking,
right?
Yeah. In honor of
I can't walk
like,
properly right now, but cool.
You're like Michael from you did carb loading before you went on that little marathon, and then you just died halfway through the walk.
No, I fucking my ankle went 90 degrees. That's why. Fun. You should have seen my
wants to go back. Chimera wants to go.
Yeah, there we go. You should have seen my foot yesterday. It was just like it was like the size of a grapefruit.
Wow. You know what? Actually, I don't regret not seeing that. So let's keep going, shall we?
Yeah. Plus, I'm not showing y'all my feet. You gotta pay extra for that. Get out of here. Anyway, then we have the Supergirl fan event, which
this was in Rio. So this was the part of the Brazil tour. So they did Brazil. This was great. I mean, all the fans showing up. They did a whole red carpet we talked about yesterday. Peter Safran revealed to us the Gorilla Grodd show, making that official. It was all part of the Brazil tour, and yeah, they had like little toy machines and stuff. Wow. That looks nice. I love the lighting. And this is a fan pop-up in San Francisco. So they're doing a bunch of these in cities all around the country and around the world, actually. So this was a pop-up they did for Supergirl in San Francisco. So if you're in the Bay Area, hopefully you got to take part in this. You can get some merch made for you, like, custom shirts, get your hair done and stuff. Some KFC vouchers I get. Yeah. Oh, we talked about Australia yesterday. There's a mural. There was a projected artwork on buildings. I'm sure they're going to do pop-ups. That one was in Brisbane. So if you're near Brisbane, Chimera, you might be able to get to see that. MTG saying you hope your foot feels better soon, or your ankle.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. Like, like the first day I was like, oh, that really hurt. And then it was like normal for the rest of the day.
Oh no,
and
it was
then,
the next day.
And then like the next day, and then the day after that was just like,
yep. Oh, you always dread the next day. That's where you gotta like preempt it somehow, but usually it's helpful.
And
your immune system's working. Yeah, that's anyway. There's also Paw Fest. So this particular person went to Paw Fest. If you scrub through these photos quick, go back to that one. Sorry. If you scrub through the
confusing
photos,
me, Dan.
Dude, there's multiple photos in all these Instagram posts. Like, You're a Gen Zer who doesn't know.
You
how to
know why?
navigate Instagram.
Because my stupid
Like-
camera blocks fucking arrows, so I can't see it.
Go to the middle photo. There's like a dude with a dog. It's Paw Fest after all, so like we gotta actually showcase a dog. Yeah, there you go. More events going on. Get them ladies in those seats. Sure, enterprising if you say so. There's also a Lobo mural that I was talking about. Well, not the one from Brisbane that we talked about yesterday. So we'll get to that in a second. There's plenty of marketing stuff going on here for Supergirl. John has stepped away, so I'm gonna see if I can load this up for you guys. I'm not gonna tell you what he stepped away for, because that is private information, but I probably shouldn't even be saying this. But there is more merch. There's actually, I saw a Lobo hoodie I want to get to in a second. Let's get into this stuff real quick. Let me bring that up. So enterprising saying, let's get some Barbie level numbers there, ladies. I don't know. Well, Barbie made a lot more money than Supergirl will. If there's a Martian Manhunter cameo, oh, I would scream too. I just don't know if that's gonna happen. Yeah, the pier near the aquarium in San Francisco. That's what we were talking about earlier. Exactly. Actually, I was there like a year and a half ago in the Bay Area in San Francisco. Oh, I haven't seen the Supergirl Sinopolis. Are you talking about the one that's like the bust of? I think we talked about that Sinopolis Supergirl cup. Oh, yeah, of course, Google knows what I'm looking for. Yes, we did talk. Oh yeah, because the back of that cup looks like a uncircumcised penis. Yes, we did talk about that yesterday. Just some geek. Unfortunate. But yeah. Georgie. Okay. There's also, yeah, you gotta support your female superheroes. Yeah. Oh, come on, M2G. That's not what John is doing right now. Don't tell him that. Don't tell him I revealed his secrets to the world. Limping back, Jack Nicholson yelling Danny through the hedge maze. Well, apparently John did not enjoy any of that when he saw The Shining. But anyway, let's keep going here. So we got more stuff here to talk about. Of course, more Supergirl marketing, including this mural of Supergirl and of course Lobo and Jason Momoa showing up to it. So yeah, more murals going up. I can't tell where this is. This might be in LA. But I know there's a mural we talked about yesterday that was in Brisbane, so in Australia. But yeah, Lobo showing up and personally signing the murals. So there you go. And then of course, speaking of Lobo, we even have a Lobo hoodie you guys can get. This is actually on the DC shop, so you guys can go check it out there right on the DC web store. So yeah, great stuff there. I'm excited about. I mean, I don't know if I want to drop all the money on the merch. I got the Art of Superman book last year, so I still have that. I actually ended up getting 2 copies of it because the first one they sent me was kind of ripped up in the shipping, and so then I had to get a second one because they weren't willing to, replace it for me, which kind of sucked. But you know what, DC, I reached out to their customer support, so it be how it be. I mean, it's not like it's not like Amazon.com. They don't have a big support staff. Like they responded to me like 2 weeks later and they were like, we can't help you there. I'm like, oh, okay, well that sucks, but oh well. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk about more Supergirl marketing. Summer Supergirl. So the other thing here, Collider, remember they did that big interview where they ended up asking Ana Aguero about the Wonder Woman movie she was working on, and so she talked about like she can't really reveal much because the sniper dot will find her from James Gunn. But in that same interview, they asked both Anna and Millie about just again the importance of female superheroes. Like when you guys were saying in the chat just now, you got to support the female superheroes so we can get more of them and Hollywood doesn't learn the wrong lessons. And what they were saying is both Anna and Millie said like, look, it's really important for them, and this is something James Gunn mentioned early in the marketing for the movie, that they showcase that, look, you don't have to be this perfect person, this perfect woman, girl growing up. It's okay to be your imperfect self, and and still be somebody who the world will accept and love for just who you are. And that's what Supergirl is hopefully going to prove to the world, and that's what they're excited about. And I think that's a great message because, believe it or not, still a lot of girls grow up being told like you have to be this perfect person, and you have to kind of walk this line, and like you can't show your imperfections. And like obviously Supergirl has a lot of trauma that she deals with in the movie, and even at the end of it, she kind of talks about it in all these trailers that she's not this. She doesn't see the good in people like Superman. She sees them for who they are, and that's okay. Like that's perfectly fine. And I think that kind of female representation in these superhero movies, we don't have that as much of that. Like Wonder Woman is this idolized person. Even Captain Marvel is this idolized version of a superhero. I feel like Supergirl, for the first time, we're seeing a female superhero movie. I mean, I guess Black Widow is an example of it, where you get to see a character who's not perfect, who has a lot of trauma, and you don't want to like cast them in a negative light. So I think that's something I really appreciate, and that's obviously what Anna Nogueira, with James Gunn, Peter Safran, Millie Alcock, Craig Gillespie, Jason Momoa, they all want us to see that. So that's what they're delivering. And then going from that, speaking of Anna Nogueira, not just her, but also you got, the two illustrators of the Woman of Tomorrow comic book. I was telling John this yesterday. It is just amazing and wonderful to see that while they're marketing this movie, as they went to Brazil and they're going to these other stops, they're putting all of the people behind the scenes. You don't usually get the spotlight because they're not the ones walking the red carpet, but here they are. Like Ana Nogueira's up front and center, all these red carpets. She was, she's of Portuguese descent, so it makes sense that she was in Brazil. Obviously, great representation there as well. But also Bilquis Evely and Matt Lopez, both of them were walking the red carpet and, showing up and representing, because being a part of what, putting together the whole thing. I know Tom King wrote the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, but you see the creators, the people behind the scenes. This is great leadership on the part of James Gunn and Peter Safran. They're putting the illustrators, the writers, the screenwriters, and the writers of obviously the comic book itself up front and center as part of the marketing. So I think this is great for, again, kind of propping up and having great appreciation for the people that make the comics, that give us a source material for these movies to exist in the first place. So that's great.
I will say, going
I haven't
back
seen it,
a
but
little bit,
I
I did want to say, if my fat ass could fit in one of these things, I would totally fucking get it. By the way,
I don't know what sizes they have available. Maybe they do have something for you. I mean, I feel like the Birds of Prey was like example of imperfect superheroes enterprising, but yeah, we didn't really get more than that one movie. So, yeah, if Supergirl does well, then maybe Nightwing would be more possible. Yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully we'll get a Nightwing movie down the road too. I mean, you know what? Social media is going to social media, but I appreciate the messaging around this movie so far. Speaking of messaging, John, yeah, we got to talk about they released the Supergirl suite, which is basically, seems like the music, the theme music for Supergirl. Of course, the soundtrack is by Claudia Sarn, who was like the final composer they settled on after going through a few, including of course Chunky XL from the Batman v Superman fame, and the Snyder Cut fame. But like, Claudia seems to have done a decent job. Did you get a chance to listen to this?
No, I did not. No.
Yesterday. I mean, I listened to it. It's got like some of that, it does a good job of mixing the more of the epic notes, but also some more somber notes. So I like it. I like the sound of it. It's not as iconic as Superman, but I feel like it can grow on you. Like, the Wonder Woman soundtrack when that movie came out, Rupert Gregson-Williams did a good job of expanding the theme from just the Snyder led Batman v Superman, with like when you see Wonder Woman, the wow, 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 and then he expanded into like the other more quieter moments of the movie as well. So yeah, I'm excited to hear more of the soundtrack, and I know they usually release it as the movie comes out, before the movie comes out. So I think the rest of this will probably come out on iTunes, Spotify within a week's time, like especially in time for the movie coming out next week. You guys let us know, what do you think about this track? I know one of you guys already listened to it, so it sounds pretty good to me. It doesn't need to be perfect, but it's a good start, and I'm looking forward to the rest of it. But anyway, John, did you get your Supergirl ticket yet? On this,
I have not. I still, my parents want to go, so I gotta fucking work it out with them and see where they want to, when they want to see it, and how they want to see it. So
yeah, well, this last bit here is all about the people who did get their Supergirl tickets, it looks like. So yeah, let's go through this. I mean, obviously DC doing their best to market it. All right, Chimera, love the score. That's great. Love to hear that. Yeah, a lot of these people have already bought their tickets. I mean, this guy's reading the comic book and he's bought the tickets. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the whole soundtrack plays out. That soundtrack can often make or break the movie. It's a big part of the emotional weight of the film. I enjoyed what I heard so far, but yeah, clearly all these folks are excited to go see Supergirl, and this doggy is excited to go see Supergirl as well. And that doggy as well. Look at that. Yeah. I'm gonna make it one of my reservations for the AMC A list. So I have to do that. I keep saying I will do it, but I will do it. I promise you guys, because we'll be reviewing the movie as we did Superman. So, and we'll probably do like a whole, spoiler, full spoiler discussion about it as well next week when the movie comes out. So, and we'll see if Liz can join us for that. That'll be interesting as well. But that, I think, brings us to the end of today's show. And John, now that you're back, we totally didn't talk about what you were off doing while you were away.
Everybody does it.
You know,
All right. So, everybody shits. I don't know what to tell you. I had a bunch of high fat foods today. So, you know what? I had to take a dump. Sorry. It happened. Okay. What do you want me filming taking my shit?
It's no. It's all good. I didn't say anything out loud. It was one of the guys in the chat. They were like, the John must be going and doing some thing. Anyway.
Yeah, I was taking a monster shit. You want me to text you a picture of it next time? Dingbat.
That new Lobo promo was on X on the Supergirl account. That's where I saw that. And the Lobo movie, we don't know yet. We talked about it yesterday.
Also, I tried to find the main man hoodie. It's not on the DC shop, so they lied to me. Fuck off.
Maybe it's early. Who knows? Yeah. We're all human and all of our shit stink. But yeah, Lobo film, would love to see it. I have a feeling that if Lobo becomes like the breakout character, kind of like Margot Robbie in the Suicide Squad movie that led to the Birds of Prey film, it's possible they do something, because you don't bring in Jason Momoa just for a one-off. He's talked about there's plans for him. It's just a matter of you got to grow the general audience awareness of the character before you give him his own movie. I guess Art Kid would appreciate a photo. You have to pay for the OnlyFans account for John to get that stuff. You don't get that for free.
Yeah.
But there you go. On that note, I think we're going to wrap it up for DCU Daily. We are heading right into Tier List Tuesday, so be sure to tune in. This show will, if you're watching us live, will throw you directly into Tier List Tuesday. And once again, before we finish up here, the link for the Fancast Friday poll is in the chat for this show, is in the description for the show as well. So if you're watching us after you're live, make sure to go and vote for Fancast Friday. And then, of course, hit the like button on your way out. We appreciate that, and we'll see you on Tier List Tuesday. But if not there, then we'll see you tomorrow, another episode of DCU Daily.
It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning.
There's the shot right there. That.
Okay, we don't need to see
right there.
Hey, buddy. Eyes up here.
Now you want to get nuts?
Let's get nuts. Here we go.
Victory mine. Ask me how am I doing? I'm telling you, really, I'm doing sublime. I never wait in a stewardess line. I just go do it. I'm moving my time. Really had nothing to do with it. How am I moving? I'm moving like you want to shine. Follow my lead. Don't listen to lies. I had to put me all on the line. That's why I know that victory's mine.
I prefer Jared Leto.
Hunka, hunka.
Remember, everyone, fuck David Ellison, fuck Jeff Snyder, and especially fuck Tom King. Yes. Hello? Hello? Are you still there?